Hello, 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 everyone. How are we this evening? Slightly different stream. Don't normally stream on a Sunday, but thought I'd give it a go. Got so much to talk about. And to be honest, slightly selfishly, I really needed to just talk out loud and talk to the chat as well. So I'm actually going to need your guys' help today. But I basically want to discuss free hit 33. Is it worth it? Should we still be free hitting after the absolute disaster class from... Well, Leicester didn't look that great, to be honest. Arsenal, not very good at all. Manchester United, absolutely horrific. Obviously, Leicester still have the second leg of the Europa Conference League as well. It looks like free hit is sort of going in the bin at the moment anyway. But we are going to discuss all of that. We're going to discuss basically, should we be free hitting or not? We're also going to look at some wildcard 34 drafts as well to set up for either a bench boost 36, maybe free hit 36, free hit 37. So we're going to look at some of the different combinations of wildcard drafts that we can build for 34 and beyond. And basically just have a really chill chat about the game week that's just gone and future game weeks as well. We've only got a few game weeks. Is it 6 game weeks now left? Is that right? 6 or 7? So we're at the back end sort of business end of the season. So hopefully this stream will set us up nicely and just let us sort of unwind from game week 32. So it'll be nice and chilled, significantly more chilled than the streams usually are because we've got another week until game week 33 comes around. So do say hello in the chat. Get involved in the chat. If you're someone that doesn't usually get involved in live stream chats, why not? There's not that many people in the chat today. Get involved, ask questions in there. So do say hello if you're here today. We've got Cheekster, of course. Good to see. I was going to say my man. Could be a girl. I don't actually know. So good to see you, Cheekster. Good to see you, Was. Evening all, please check my free hit draft. I will check some free hit drafts in a bit, don't you worry. Andre, good to see you, my man. Zodiac, some absolute regulars of the channel, some members as well. Good evening, Chris. Good evening, Marcus. Ready for some top class content. Good to hear. Good evening, Dan. Good evening, Steve. Good to see you, my man. Just having a chat with Steve over on Twitter. Good evening, John. Bonjour. Bonjour to you. I don't know if you're French or you're just saying hello. Evening, Ross, and evening, everyone. Good evening, Scotty. Good to see you, my man. Relieved that Liverpool are still in the title race, for sure. At half-time, Liverpool could have been out of that. If you did watch the Liverpool-City game, let me know in the chat what you thought of it. I think City could have been sort of 3 or 4-1 up at half-time, and Liverpool did very well to come back into the game. That being said, obviously some very dodgy decisions went in favour of Liverpool, which is quite funny because Liverpool fans spent the entire week complaining about the officials that were appointed for that game, only for the officials to give some pretty dodgy decisions in favour of Liverpool. So, yeah. Hi, Michael. Hi, Matthias. FPL Delboy. Good to see you, my man. Good evening. Rampant Samurai. Good evening, Ross. Is it safe to say we should captain Son over Kane? Son is balling. Son is doing very well. To be fair, the underlying data for the two of them is fairly comparable, though, and Kane is still on penalty. So I still think I favour Kane at the moment. But yeah, Son is doing very well. Yeah, Thiago should have been sent off. City could have been 3 or 4 up in the first half. Absolutely. City looked so good towards the back end of that first half. In the second half, they looked great as well, but Liverpool did sort of pull it back together. Ref must have lost his red. I think he was maybe a little bit scared to play to give out a red card. I think that was probably what happened, more likely. Yeah, Liverpool are quite lucky from a Liverpool fan. Liam, evening Ross, finding the top 100k. Brilliant stuff. Push on now. Keep pushing. Top 50k next. Yeah, so glad the title race isn't over. City assets are still valuable. DJ Hammer has hit the nail on the head. No pun intended, obviously, there. Definitely. The fact that Liverpool obviously didn't win that game and that City didn't win that game is perfect for all of the FPL assets because City are going to have to continue to play their strongest 11 until they've won the Prem. I actually think I would have quite liked City to lose, to be honest, because it's the City assets that I really do want on my wildcard 34, to be honest. Good evening, good evening. Right, just so that you're not looking at my big bald head, I'm going to switch to another graphic. But obviously, just before we do switch to looking at Game Week 33 and Game Week 34, all of our streams on this channel are sponsored by the wonderful Spitch. So you can actually give this a go because it's not a stressful deadline. If you want to support the channel in some way and help me out, please do download Spitch. The link will be in the description. It's like a track link. So they know if someone downloads it through my video, it obviously helps support me. And it is actually a super cool game. So I play this every week. It's basically like you get a free hit every week and you choose whichever players you want. You do need to be in the UK and Germany to play it. But it's really exciting, especially if you don't have your 3 hit 30 for 33, you can still play a free hit on a different platform. And it makes it exciting every week that sometimes you can pick the players you don't own. So as you can see here, this is the team that I picked for Game Week 32. The Game Week 33 one isn't quite live yet, but basically play this every week and it is really fun. And like I said, not only are you playing a fun game, but you do get to help support the channel as well by downloading the Spitch. So if you can this evening, whilst you're watching or after, click the link in the description, download Spitch, help support me, play an absolutely cool game as well. Just want to give a massive shout out to Spitch before we do get on though, because they do sponsor all the live streams on this channel. So all of that together then, basically, the sort of topic of this stream, of course, I'm going to talk about some other stuff, is should us be free hitting for game week 33 if that was our plan? If we've only got one free hit left, should we still be considering it, or should we be saving it for 36/37? Now, this is entirely team dependent. Of course, if you do have something you want to send in to do with your team, I'll do my best to answer. It is massively team dependent, but I do think generally the reason that we're all maybe second guessing now is because 36 and 37 do look like fantastic weeks, and a lot of the assets that we would potentially want to own that have doubles this week maybe don't look so great now. And I think even more than that is that the players with single games look like they could be fantastic options. So the likes of Cancelo, if Doherty's fit, Kulusevski, Son, Kane, even the likes of James. James hasn't started 2 Prem games in a row now. You'd expect him to probably start a very important game against Arsenal here. So it could potentially be that a lot of the single game week players that we would get rid of on a free hit are going to do quite well. And a lot of the double game week players that we want, the likes of Maddison and Barnes, they might only play one game. The likes of Ronaldo and Fernandes, are they going to outscore the likes of Kane and Son? It's really tricky to decide. So I think a lot of people that were on free hit 33, as I was, if you've been watching my videos, I've been super set on free hit 33. But I'm starting to think now, potentially, I'm not as eager to free hit 33, and I need to have a real think about that. Someone just said, what did I get for game week 32? I can show you my points for game week 32. So my points for game week 32, let's just drag that up there. It was 59 minus 4, so 55 net points. It wasn't great. It was about a 10k red arrow. So basically, Kane did well, Kulusevski did well, Rafinha did well. I brought in Zaha and Ronaldo. Zaha got 5 points, which wasn't too bad, to be fair. He missed a penalty. It had to be retaken. Zaha missed another penalty. That then got saved by Schmeichel, and then he followed in the rebound. So in the space of a minute, I was trying to keep up to date with it on OneFootball, like refreshing my feed. He missed 2 penalties and scored a rebound. Ended up with 5 points. If we just go on to his points there. Yeah, so he's got the goal, got the -2 for the penalty miss. So wasn't ideal particularly. Outside of that, nothing really to write home about. A lot of my players got 1 point. Ramsdale, Doherty, James, Saka, Ronaldo all got 1 point. Not great all round. And I suppose the most frustrating thing is that I've got Gordon sat there third sub after I played him through 2 double game weeks in the space of about 3 weeks. Was it 29 and 31? Blanked in all of them pretty much. I think he got a single assist for the penalty. Then picking up a 10-pointer, not only when he's third on my bench, but playing against, I'm a Manchester United fan, so playing against us. So that was a little bit frustrating to have Gordon third sub there, but I was never, ever going to play Gordon realistically. Like the fact that he's third sub shows you that in my eyes, I was going to put Cody and Van Dijk ahead of him. So not the end of the world, I guess, but it was another red arrow. If we just go to my game week history here. So this is, if you go to game week history, you can find basically this row here is my rank. Right, so this is my rank for the season. So if you can see from so in game week 8, if I just scroll up a bit from the start of the season, so you can see this is my overall rank in game week 1. I was from the start of the season, I've been sort of firmly inside the top 100k, but not pushing much higher than that. Then in game week 9, I captained Havertz, right? And then we dropped to 200k. And then since then, so since the Havertz gate, I bounced straight back to 78k. And then if you just look at all of my overall ranks since then, I haven't gone above top 25k, and I haven't dropped out of about 70k. So you can see here, look at all these ranks. It's ridiculously consistent. And I've actually had a few back-to-back, so 3 red arrows in a row, unfortunately. 38k, 44k, 53k. So slowly dropping off, slowly trying to now push back on. We've got 3 chips still to play. So I've still got my wildcard, I've still got my free hit, and I've still got my bench boost. So hopefully we'll start to use those now to sort of push on. I think the top 10k is probably just about out of reach, but I'm about sort of 55, 60 points off the top 10k. If each chip's worth maybe 15, 20 points and I've got 3 chips left to play, if I play them well, I guess it's not impossible by any means, but I really need to decide what I'm doing with my chips and when I'm playing them, right? So that's the sort of situation I'm in. Yeah, let me know in the chat what sort of situation you're in. What's your current rank? What's your plan for your chips? All that sort of stuff. Yeah. What are we saying? We're on the same amount of points. Very nice. How many single game week players would you have on a free hit? So there is going to be, I'm not going to talk about it too much today because a lot of the content this week's going to be around free hit. So I've got a free hit draft coming out. It'll either be tomorrow or Tuesday. I've got a feeling it'll be tomorrow, but it could be Tuesday. We're going to basically go through some wildcard, some free hit drafts for 33. In one of the drafts, I've got 2. And in the other draft, I think I have 3 or 4. I wouldn't have more than 3 or 4 single game week players. For me, you're looking at the obvious, the Cancelo, De Bruyne, Kane and Son. Those four really are the only ones I've considered for single game week players on a free hit personally. I still can't decide one way or the other. Realistically, I need to do a full free hit 33 draft and compare that to what I've got at the moment. Then compare 36 to 37 and see if it's worth it. Right, so what I actually did is I jumped onto FPL Review. So if you're not aware, FPL Review is kind of like one of the more statistical websites that project your points over the coming game weeks. I jumped on FPL Review and I looked at free hit 33, wildcard 34, bench boost 36. So using my free hit in 33 essentially, then wildcard 34, bench boost 36, versus not using the free hit in 33 and therefore wildcard 34, bench boost 36, free hit 37. So essentially the only difference between the two for me was free hit 33, free hit 37. The free hit 33 draft came out on top quite considerably on FPL Review. So they actually favor the fact that I would play my free hit in 33. The reason for that, as we're going to look at a bit later in this stream, I can build a wildcard 34 that covers bench boost 36 and game week 37 very well. I don't need the free hit in 36 and 37. So I think if you're sat there with a wildcard, you're probably in a similar position to me where, yeah, 33 doesn't look that great for a free hit, but at the same time, a free hit 37 feels like it might be slightly wasted if you've still got a wildcard left, because surely the likes of, and Scotty, we discussed this, the likes of Leicester, Everton, Chelsea and Villa, those four teams all double in, and again, assuming the Villa Crystal Palace game goes ahead and assuming the Chelsea game goes ahead in 37, those four teams double in 36 and they double in 37. So do we really need the free hit in 37 when we can just load up on our wild card on a lot of players from those four teams there, especially the likes of Chelsea? Go for a Chelsea triple up. Yeah, there's a bit of rotation, but if you go for like a Mendy Rudiger James or a Mendy James Havertz, you could potentially... So essentially what I'm saying is I don't think free hit 33 is fantastic by any means, and I've never claimed that it is. What I have claimed is that I think if you build towards bench boost 36 or just build towards game week 36, you probably cover 37 in some regard. So that... I guess all of that to be said, I'm essentially still currently leaning towards free hit 33, but I'm less convinced than I was a week ago. The other reason that I'm less convinced than I was, and again, this doesn't apply for everyone, is because I of course brought in Ronaldo this week. So if you watched my team selection video, I wasn't planning to do this, but I suddenly realized that I wasn't actually going to lose much value on Salah at all. It's going to be 0.1 million I'm going to lose on Salah. And I didn't fancy Salah to get much against City. He got a very, very good assist, but that was it. So I'm not too disheartened. And I just thought Ronaldo was a very good option against Everton. Turns out Manchester United are pretty rubbish. But one of the major advantages for me of free hitting a 33 was that I didn't think I'd be able to get a Manchester United player. Now I've got a Manchester United player in my team. If I want to, I can captain Ronaldo. I've still got Kane. I've got Kulusevski in my team. I've got Saka, Lacazette and Ramsdale all doubling. I've got Cancelo, James, Zaha. Realistically, with two transfers, which we're going to look at in a second, with a -4, I can get to 6 double game week players, and my single game week players will be James, Cancelo, Kulusevski, and Kane, and maybe Zaha. It's really not that bad. I don't think the free hit is that much better necessarily, but like I said, the issue you've got is that I don't think free hit 37 or 36 is that great when I'm wildcarding the 34. So it's really tricky. I almost wish I'd have played both my free hits earlier on in the season. I wish I'd have almost played maybe the other free hit in game week 30 or potentially the other free hit. You know, like I think it was like game week 18, 19 when we hadn't got the second free hit yet. I sort of wish I'd got rid of it. I don't need this second free hit particularly, and that's why we're sort of in this position where we're struggling to decide, I guess. If you are enjoying this sort of chilled stream, by the way, do drop a like on the stream. I'm not going to keep pushing because it's a pretty chill one, but if you are watching this and you're enjoying kicking back on a Sunday evening watching this, please do drop a like on the video. What else is everyone saying? Steve says, talk to us about Ron in, Salah out. Looked good on paper, but you were free hitting this week. Now free hit now with Ron. Yeah, so the reason I did it is because I didn't fancy Salah to get anything, and I fancy Ronaldo to do pretty well against Everton. And I thought if I make the move, I've got the opportunity at least to not free hit 33. I guess realistically, though, all that's done is it's made it more difficult for me to decide if I want to free hit or not. So I don't think it's actually helped me massively, but yeah. Chris Clark says, I got 79, should be closing on in you. Yeah, you probably are closing on me. We can look at the Raptor mini league in a bit, actually. John, for me, free hit 33 is off the table. I prefer 36 or 37. Man United look tragic. Can't trust Leicester. Arsenal have had a wobble. Southampton on a bad run, plus the other teams. Fair enough. But again, if you're building towards 36 anyway, you'll probably cover 37. So this is the same issue that I've got. Yeah, so Marcus says, if you don't free hit this week, would you wildcard in 34, bench boost in 36 and free hit 37? I think so. There is the potential to wildcard 34, free hit 36 and bench boost 37, which I've looked at. Essentially what that involves is the bench boost of basically Crystal Palace / Aston Villa players, which isn't too bad. You can get a pretty cheap bench with some Crystal Palace players on there. The likes of, again, you could have Mitchell and Anderson, 2 defenders or something in your team. That's absolutely fine as well. But yeah, wildcard 34 is pretty much locked in for me. Bench boost 36 is probably locked in. It's basically free hit 37 versus 3 hit 33, which we discussed in last week's video, to be honest. Chef says, think of the City double game week. This is the issue we've got. So City's double game week, we won't know whether City's double game week goes into 36. If I just bring up... So these are City's fixtures. That Wolves fixture there, it's a little bit tricky with this City stuff. So essentially, if Manchester City lose in... if they win, I should say, in the FA Cup, it will almost definitely be the case that this Wolves fixture here will go into game week 36. Obviously, if West Ham then progress in the Cup, then that West Ham fixture can go into here as well. But essentially what we're looking at is it looks most likely for Manchester City that their double game will be in 36. That being said, if they lose in the FA Cup against Liverpool and West Ham don't progress, it could potentially be that that Wolves fixture goes into game week 37 instead. So we won't actually know that until probably game week 34. Potentially game week 35, but it's almost definitely going to be before the game week 34 deadline. So we'll know that before we wildcard, which is great. We'll know before we wildcard whether we're going to load up on City players for a 36 or 37 double. But what's annoying is I don't know, because if they double in 37 City, I might be tempted to save the free hit for game week 37 and free hit De Bruyne, Foden and Cancelo in, and potentially only have maybe Foden and Cancelo on the wildcard. Basically, on the free hit would allow me to go for De Bruyne. If they double in 36, I would probably bench boost, and I would probably just have those 3 in my team anyway. So it shouldn't make that much of a difference, but it really does for me where this Wolves fixture goes and whether the West Ham fixture gets rearranged. So essentially, they're either going to have a double in 36 or 37 City. We don't know which yet, and unfortunately, we're not going to know that until after the game week 33 deadline, which is super frustrating because I'd like to know that now, really. So you could potentially just hold on to the free hit in the hope that City goes into game week 37. But like I said, if you follow the likes of Mikel Tokvam, Planet FPL, Ben Krellin, they all think it's more likely that the City double goes into 36. So it's a tricky one, to be honest. Yeah, so Matthias has said, could player rotation make the later free hit worse? Absolutely. For sure it could. For example, it's unlikely because Liverpool would have to lose a few games here, and I can't see either of the teams dropping many points. If Liverpool lost a couple of games and City have basically won the title by game week 37, even if City double in 37, say they've gone quite far in the Champions League, it might be that they just rotate very heavily. Equally, if Liverpool win, then maybe they start rotating. It might actually be... It might be favourable because, to be honest, if Liverpool won the league by then and they started rotating, you could take out Salah and bring in maybe De Bruyne. But then if they've lost, then they've got second secure anyway. So realistically, we probably want this title race to go on for as long as possible. We want the race for the top 4 to go on as long as possible. And we probably want Everton to still be in a relegation battle for as long as possible because they've got some pretty good doubles as well. So yeah, you're absolutely spot on that what happens at the end of the season could potentially affect the teams that we go for. Hi, Raptor. Would you not consider wildcarding this week as it's all the teams you will want anyway? I don't think it is, to be honest. I don't think it is because to build the ideal team this week, I do think that you want Manchester United players. We'll discuss this in the free hit video, but Manchester United's attackers, specifically Bruno and Ronaldo, they're still putting up very good underlying data. I think you might potentially want, obviously Leicester and Arsenal players you'd want long-term anyway, but Newcastle I think are definitely one of the teams to target on a free hit. You're not going to want Newcastle long-term. So, yeah, you could wildcard this week, but I don't particularly see the value in wildcarding this week, personally. I've been dead-ending to this week with free hit in mind and do not regret it. That's absolutely fine. Like, I still think you can build a cracking free hit draft, and I think Manchester United could quite easily, I know a lot of people won't back this, but they could quite easily batter Norwich 3 or 4-0. They could grab a single goal against Liverpool. I don't expect us to get much there, but if Ronaldo gets that, this is the thing with FPL, you don't need the team to win. You don't need Manchester United to beat Norwich. You need Manchester United to score a couple of goals. Norwich could beat Man United 3-2. If Bruno gets a brace and Bruno's your captain, that's enough. So sometimes I think it's less so predicting whether the team's going to win or lose, and more so, can you see the players getting something? And yes, I can see Ronaldo and Bruno getting something against Norwich and Liverpool. I'm not expecting Manchester United to score 2 or 3 goals against Liverpool, but they could definitely grab something. So, yeah, I still think the free hit's on. Like I said, I'm probably still leaning towards playing the free hit, but I'm trying to question it. I'm trying to not sort of be too, sort of have that tunnel vision, be narrow-minded, because you can't be an FPL. And I think I've made mistakes in the past being too narrow-minded for sure. Have you already tinkered around with a rough draft of your potential wildcard? I have. We're going to do that today as well. So after sort of discussing this for another sort of 5, 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to build a couple of wildcard 34 drafts. I'm going to show you what the bulk of every draft is going to look like. And then we'll maybe just make a couple of changes. Do we want De Bruyne? Do we want Salah? Do we want Son and Kane? Because this changes it massively. And it is really tricky to try and build a good draft at the moment, to be honest. I've really struggled because you want those premium defenders. You want Trent, Cancelo, James. You probably want a Havertz or Foden. You want De Bruyne, Son, Kane, Salah. It's really Maddison, Barnes. It's so tricky. And if you've got the bench boost like I have, you also need a decent bench. So you can't go for a £4.5 million striker. You're going to have to go for like Mateta, Cucho. Cucho's not even fit, so it might be like Mateta and Richarlison now. It's really difficult to build a good wildcard at the moment. So yeah, we're going to have a go at that in a bit. No promises though. Is free hit 33 a no-brainer if I have 2 free hits and wildcard left? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think free hit 33, wildcard 34, bench boost 36. You could potentially... Oh, no, sorry, you've got 2 free hits, not a bench boost. Yeah, so yeah, that's fine then. Yeah, sorry. Free hit 33, wildcard 34, and then probably free hit 37, I would do if I was you. Because you can't play 2 free hits in consecutive weeks. You could potentially... The other option is, if you've got 2 free hits and a wildcard, is that you wildcard 34, free hit 36, free hit 38, and then you build on your wildcard for 37 instead. That's another option. We were so pedestrian against the tired Everton. Don't trust United, bro. Yeah, but obviously we're not just going to do that forever. This is the thing. If we only trusted past performances, it would just be from when that team won, they'd win for the rest of time. And from the first time that team lost, they'd lose for the end of time. Of course, at some point, a team can go from losing to winning. At some point, a team can go from winning to losing. I think this Norwich game, the Everton game was as well. But if we don't win this game, that is the season over and that's an absolute disaster. That being said, Norwich actually looked all right today. So we'll have to wait and see, to be honest. I'm still happy picking Bruno and Ronaldo on a free hit. If I free hit, I'll have both of those in there. Their underlying data is exceptionally good. And you can say all you want about Manchester United lacking motivation. That's been the case all season. They're still putting up really good data. And on this channel, we do trust data a lot of the time. And it would suggest that they're pretty good to potentially score some goals. Also, if you have Bruno and Ronaldo, you've got penalties covered if and when Manchester United get a penalty. Even and Ross went with Havertz and Ronaldo over Salah this week and came away with a small red arrow, currently weighing up the free 33 call. Yeah, me too, James. God knows whether we're going to play the free or not. I'll update you throughout the week. I haven't decided quite yet. Like I said, if I had to go now, I'd probably say I'm about 65-35 in favour of free at 33. We'll see, though. Downgrading from Salah till Son. To be honest, that's the latest wildcard that I've looked at, is my 3 premiums being Son, KD being Kane. No Salah. I didn't like it, though. Scares me not having Salah. But he's not doing enough at the moment, is he? Realistically. It's just if you then want to get back to Salah, it's at least 2 transfers and that you've got limited transfers left. It almost feels like it's more sensible to just go for Salah. We'll see. It's a difficult one. I also think I'd probably want to captain Salah in 36. Although, again, if City get the double in 36, I'd probably be happy captaining KDB, assuming that the title race is still going. Dan Smith says, been treading water in the top 10k since game week 22. High as 1,500, now sat at 5k. Just feel I need to do something. That's a great rank, though, Dan. Just keep pushing on. I'd be playing fairly safe at that rank. Again, it depends what your target is. Top 10k is fantastic. You're sat at 5k. Just continue making sensible. You don't need to push too hard there. What you don't want is to start making nonsensical decisions in the hope for pushing towards 1k to then drop out to like 20, 30k. That's not what you want there. So just keep doing whatever you've been doing this season is clearly working. Messing about with free hit 33 and this looks decent. Pope, KWP. Yeah, I don't mind it. Southampton look just terrible at the moment, don't they? Pope, KWP, Cancelo, Target, Saka, Sancho, Bruno, Maddison, Cornet, Ronaldo, Iheanacho. I don't mind that. I hate the fact there's no Kane in there, though. Or Son. I guess you're just banking on the fact that Tottenham seem to do really well and then really poorly. And they alternate like that, I guess. I'm on the same chips as you, but I cannot fathom having United players anywhere near my team. That's fair enough, Jamie. I still think they're good options, personally. 5 double game week players in my squad. Ramsdale, Saka, Lacazette, Cucurella, Ronaldo. 1 free transfer. 3 chips left. Should I use the free hit this week? Similar situation to me. Very similar. Like, basically identical situation to me. And I don't know at the moment, to be honest. Haven't decided yet. FPL is about predicting the future and trying to anticipate points. Now reacting to results. People get caught up on results. Man United are very attractive. That is very well worded. That's essentially what I'm trying to get at. Sometimes you have to move before a team starts doing well. If we wait for Manchester United to start scoring goals, I mean, that might never happen, but you almost miss that initial go. Like, if you jumped on Son and Kane around game week 25, game week 26, before they started performing, you're in an incredibly good position now. So sometimes you have to, like you say, have to move and try and predict before. And I do still think Manchester United assets are good options for free at 33. How about having Son, KDB and Salah on the wild card? Yes, also looked at that. That I'm slightly more favourable on, just because I don't know that I want Son and Kane at the expense of Salah. Unfortunately, I've tried a KDB Salah Kane draft. That doesn't work, right? It just doesn't happen, especially if you're trying to bench boost 33. Bench boost 36, I should say. You need a strong enough bench with 2 playing strikers alongside whoever your premium is. It doesn't work. So I think the best you can get, although I'm still not sure it'll be ideal, is probably Son, KDB and Salah if you want 3 premiums. Right. Let's have a look at game week 33 then. What button do I want? Right. So what I'd like to do then is I'm just going to basically... I'm not going to build a 33. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of free hit 33 content here, and it's pretty much similar to what most people are doing. Double Manchester United, getting Maddison and Barnes in there. Like there is going to be free hit 33 content, but what I thought I'd do is see what team I can get without the free hit, and then instead what I'd like to do is spend more time looking at wildcard 34 and beyond, because for me, deciding whether to free hit in 33 is not like this might be surprising to some of you. Deciding to whether to free hit 33 for me is not about game week 33. Like, I'm not deciding whether it's a free hit or not based on 33. What I'm deciding on, is there enough value in keeping a free hit for later in the season? Because if there's not, I think I'll just play it in 33. Load up on some doublers, get some extra games. Because like I said, and I'm going to show you, if you put together a good wild card in 34, that will deal with 36 and 37 anyway. You can put together a wild card where you've got 13 or 14 double game week players for game week 36, and then a very good team for 37 as well. So this is my team for game week 33, right? If I am not to free hit, so if I'm to save the free hit, I'm obviously not going to sell any of my double game week players. Doherty is a slight concern, but I wouldn't sell Doherty because I've got Cody and Van Dijk who I'd sell before him. So I might end up benching him because of the injury concern, but I wouldn't be selling him probably. I'm probably not going to obviously sell Kane. I probably don't want to sell Cancelo, James, Kulusevski either. And I think Zaha, because he's on penalties, is probably going to stay as well. So realistically, what I'm looking at is probably selling Rafinha and Van Dijk for 2 double game week players. So my initial thought was Van Dijk out for Target, because I do think the Newcastle defence looks pretty good at the moment. So Van Dijk out for Target. And then what I'd probably do is Rafinha out for either Maddison or Barnes. Now, actually, my initial thought was Maddison. The underlying data is better for Maddison. Maddison looks more nailed. But he's played quite a lot of minutes recently, and you'd expect him to continue to play in the Europa Conference League as well against PSV. If that goes the full way, I would say that because Barnes was rested in game week 32, Barnes is probably slightly more likely to get both fixtures. So this could be Barnes or Maddison. Essentially, I'm just saying that it would be a Leicester midfielder. And then I would probably bring him in, again, it would probably be for Doherty. So the team would look something like this for game week 33 if I don't free hit, right? If I don't free hit, this is what I might end up playing De Gea ahead of Ramsdale. That would be for a -4. So I need to look at this and think, is it worth free hitting on top of this team? Is this team good enough? Or is a free hit going to be justified? Not only that, like I said, I need to look at what my game week 37 team is going to look like and whether the free hit will be justified there. And to be honest, there is also the potential to free hit in game week 38. Game week 38 looks like it could be pretty decent, especially if you load up on the likes of Villa. They've not got a very good fixture in game week 38. Is it Manchester City, I think? So that might be something as well. You could potentially free hit in 38. So this is the way that my team would look if I didn't free hit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the game week. And I'm just going to start building towards a 34 wildcard. So let me know in the chat, on a 34 wildcard, who do you think we need? I'm going to get the premiums in first. I'm going to get the defenders I want. And then I'm going to try and get the budget enablers in. And then we'll maybe build around that. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and put together a nice game week 34 wildcard for you on your screens. And after I've done that, we're going to look at what that team looks like in 36 and 37 and whether playing a free hit on top of that will gain me much extra advantage. This is what I've been trying to decide earlier today. So with respect to premiums, I think Son looks too good at the moment to not have. And I think if I want KDB and Salah, I probably can't have Kane. So what I'm going to do to start with is build a team, with De Bruyne, Son and Salah if I can. But like I said, the issue is that I've got the bench boost as well. So it's going to be pretty tricky to try and put together a strong team with 3 premiums, a good defense and a bench boost, but we'll see what happens. So it would probably be like this. It might be that I have to drop Saka. I'm not keen on doing so, but I also don't think Saka's essential. For now, I'm going to drop him. I'd like Saka in my team, but I've tried this before. Why is Gordon? Oh, it's wrong Gordon. That's why. I've already got Gordon in my team. So let's then do... So Saka would become Maddison or Barnes. Let's say Maddison because I think he's the better asset to own long term. Ronaldo's obviously not going to be Ronaldo anymore. So let's make Ronaldo probably Cucho. Assuming Cucho's fit. If Cucho's not fit, we go to other players. We go to potentially Dennis. We go to Mateta. We go up potentially. And then these two here, one's going to be Richarlison. The other could potentially be Ollie Watkins. Now, Mateta's also a decent option. And I know Watkins and Richarlison haven't been that fantastic this season so far. But I do still think they're decent options. I'd probably want Schmeichel in goal. And I think the second keeper for a bench boost 36 is probably going to be Foster. It could be Pickford if you really wanted Pickford in there. I'd like Mendy in goal. But I'm not entirely convinced that it's worth going that extra money, especially, like I said, if Chelsea do secure third, they could potentially play Kepa in the league and save Mendy for the cup competitions. I'm going to want Trent in there is the other issue. And you're going to see straight away why I'm struggling to build a decent draft here. I'm going to get all the players in I basically want. And then we'll see how far off I am. Right? So I don't want Cody. Good defenders from 34 onwards. We're looking at Matty Cash was the other one I wanted, I think. And then potentially Justin in here, right? So this isn't working straight away. So we're £5 million short. So at this stage, you need to decide how are you going to squeeze that fund out. So you would end up having to drop probably Son to Kulusevski. Outside of that, you could potentially... So we'd have to drop one of Watkins and Richarlison. Let's say for now that we potentially drop Richarlison down to Mateta. Right? Captaincy would be on Salah, wouldn't it? So we need to find 2.8 million here. So at this stage, you've got a couple of options. You drop Maddison down to something like a Dewsbury Hall. All right, so that works there. 0.3 million we'd need to find, but you could do that easily by making Justin Fofana. All right, so that's one option, I guess. I'm not particularly keen on it, but it's an option that's there for you if you want to. Right, the team doesn't look that fantastic here, but it's decent. So the sacrifice there is Maddison down to Dewsbury Hall, but I do really want Maddison or a Coutinho or potentially a Barnes. I want that mid-price midfielder in there, but it's very difficult to get outside of that. The other option is that you drop one of Trent, James and Cancelo, but again, I'm not very keen on that at all. So this is a temporary draft. The issue with this draft you've got is that you've got Gordon and Dewsbury Hall as two 4.5-ish million pound midfielders that... Yes, they're decent, but you probably don't want to rely on starting them too often. You probably would need to start them. And then you've got Cucho and Mateta. You've got no premium striker. You've got Foster on the bench. Around those 3 premiums of Son, De Bruyne, Salah, Trent, James. So basically, like that, that square in the screen there of these players here, these three, Trent, James, Cancelo, and then Son, De Bruyne, Salah. Outside of that, the team is quite weak. But those 6 players are almost good enough to warrant making the rest of the... And when I say weak, like you've got Cash in there, you've got Mateta, Watkins is pretty decent, Gordon and Dewsbury Hall are good for their price. Fofana and Cucho are good, decent budget enablers. Again, if you could squeeze Fofana up to a Justin or an Evans with your budget, that makes it even better. Again, if Cucho's not fit, it makes it a lot trickier because he was such a good enabler that was starting every game. Getting up to Dennis... Again, you would have almost enough to get up to Dennis if you wanted to. But again, Dennis's underlying statistics just aren't that great. I'd obviously wouldn't have quite enough. You can't see that there. But I have 0.5 million in the bank. So I'll put Cucho in for now. Right? Are there any other players I've missed, by the way? Do let me know in the chat if there's any players that I've missed that you think would be... that would be necessary in a Wildcard 34, especially if you've been playing around with a Wildcard 34. Let me know if there's any players that you think I've missed out. What about Jota and Maddison for KDB and Dewsbury Hall? Yeah, I really want KDB. If I don't go for KDB, it would be Kane instead. Yeah, people are saying maybe missed out Kane. If I want Kane, it's instead of De Bruyne, and I don't think it's necessarily worth it for me. Tony's all right. Just don't has any. As far as I know, Tony doesn't have any doubles, right? So it's just single game week fixtures for the remainder of the season. Yeah. So Spurs United in 34 and 35 is really not great. That back end of the season is decent, but for 36, I'm on a bench boost. So I don't think I want him for 36. And then 37, Everton, 38 Leeds, I might want him. So it might be that in 37, I make a transfer to bring in Tony. But I'm not necessarily sure I want him desperately now. Ramsey instead of KDH. Yeah, you could easily put Ramsey in there if you wanted to. I think I don't quite have enough, right? I'm £0.1 million short, but I mean, for your purposes, you can do that if you want to, right? So Ramsey's a fine option as well. Oh, my camera's lagging out. Oh, no, it's fine. Sorry, the internet just cut out temporarily there, guys. So anyway, this is roughly along the lines of what I think I'd want to build for Game Week 34 wildcard at the moment, but I have a feeling what I'll end up doing is trying to go without Son and Kane, which sounds stupid, right? It does sound very stupid. But if you do drop Son to Kulusevski, everything becomes so much easier. Like significantly easier. And I know Kulusevski hasn't got close to matching Son recently, but the doors that it opens makes me consider if it's worth. Like if you do drop Son to Kulusevski and you have De Bruyne and Salah, you've got 4.7 million now to play with. Right, so you can upgrade Ramsey, you can upgrade Gordon, you can upgrade Fofana. Cucho can get upgraded potentially to a Richarlison. That's a lot of money to play with, and it does make me wonder if that's the play. But for now, we'll keep Son in, because these are the 3 that we're all thinking about at the moment. Son, De Bruyne, Salah. Yeah, you could go Jota instead of Salah. I'm just not sure that is a massive downgrade, isn't it? I guess Son's Kulusevski is a bit of a downgrade as well. I think I want Salah in my team, to be honest. I really do. I really think he's still worth having. So let's go with that for now. I'm 0.1 million short, but I've not got the best team value, so you might be able to build this slightly easier. I guess the point of what I wanted to show you with this sort of team is that you can build a very nice team for 36 and 37 with a wildcard. So 35, I could use a transfer again. Let's just bin off... Like, the team looks fine for 35. I guess is the key thing to look at. The team looks absolutely fine. You can actually play Foster instead of Schmeichel here. The team looks brilliant. You don't need to worry about 35. So what you can probably do is roll a free transfer in 35, and that would allow you to go into 36 with 2 free transfers just in case someone gets injured, or just in case you think, actually, I've changed my mind. I want to switch this up. I want to get a slightly stronger bench. Maybe if Cucho stops playing or Mateta loses his place, what you could at that stage decide, you know what, I do want to downgrade Salah to Jota and upgrade Mateta. So I think at that stage, you've got a little bit more sort of to play with. So what I would try and do is roll a free transfer into Game Week 36. So this would be my Bench Boost 36 team, right? This is going off the assumption that Manchester City goes into Game Week 36. So they would have a double of Newcastle and Wolves probably. So I would actually probably captain De Bruyne and I'd vice captain Salah. Again, this is assuming that they get the double. So my Bench Boost would probably be probably what you can see on your screen. I might end up actually playing Gordon ahead of Ramsey, and actually it would probably be for Fofana and for Mateta. So my bench boost would look something like that. Not fantastic by any means, but quite a few fixtures, and obviously all of my starting 11 have double game weeks as well there. So the bench boost would be Foster, Ramsey, Kucha, and Mateta. Now, this is the stage where I look at this and think, if I did Son to Kulusevski this week, then I could do a little bit with that money. Obviously, I'd have 2 free transfers here. So if at this stage I want to do Son to Kulusevski, against Liverpool and Arsenal, I'm probably not expecting too much from my Spurs assets anyway. So if I want to do it here, right, Son to Kulusevski, at this stage, I could upgrade some of these guys. So at this stage, I could upgrade Cucho if I wanted to Richarlison, right? Outside of that, I could upgrade Ramsey. So I think you've got options here if you want to, with Game Week 36 to use your free transfers. And I think your bench would end up looking something like this. This is why I'd rather not go for Mateta. It's not a bad fixture, but if Mateta's randomly benched against Watford, it makes it pretty tricky, in my opinion, to... Like, I don't really want to play him here. So I need to think, again, if I do Kulusevski, I could have upgraded Mateta there. The issue that you've got is then the Mateta's got a really nice double in 37, so I'd probably want to keep him for the double in 37. So this is the way it would look for 36. If we then skip ahead to 37, what you can see straight away is that you've actually built a very nice team with far too many good players. And again, this is where you start to think, do you maybe want a bench boost in 37 instead? So what I would probably end up doing... Again, it's really tricky. Is something like this. I'd probably leave it like that, to be honest. Right? You can build a perfectly good 37 team. That looks like a free hit team. It's double game week players outside of Trent, Cancelo, De Bruyne, and Salah. I don't think I need a free hit for 36 or 37, is what I'm trying to show you with a wildcard 34. And I think even if you've not got a wildcard, if you're building towards 36 or 37 with free transfers, I'm not entirely sure that you need it. What do you think, chat? Let me know. What do you think of this? Like I said, that would be the 36 bench boost. This would be the 37 team. Arguably, that's a better bench boost. Arguably, at this stage, you actually change Foster for Pickford. Is that a better bench boost? I think that's a better bench boost, isn't it? 37. And this is the option I've got. If I don't save a free hit, I can free hit 33, wildcard 34, and I can try on my wildcard 34 to decide whether I bench boost in 36 or bench boost in 37. But I'm not entirely sure you need to make that decision. Like my wildcard 34 doesn't actually change too much if I'm bench boosting 36 or bench boosting 37. Obviously, if Manchester City get the double in 37, that makes it even more likely that I would bench boost 37. So, yeah, that's along the lines of what I'm thinking about at the moment, to be honest. And I don't think... I think I'm convinced... This is good. This is the point of this stream. One of the points was to try and help me think about whether I need to free at 33. Whether I need to free at 36 or 37, I should say. And I don't think I do. And I actually think that FPL review is probably correct in that the biggest upside for me is a free hit 33. So that's what I'm currently looking at. That's what I'm currently looking at. For a free hit 37, by the way, this is game week 37 off a wild card. I don't actually know if there's any players in the game that I would want that I don't have here on a free hit. Potentially, if Manchester City get a double in 37, I might want Foden in the team, or I might want Laporte. But if they get their double in 36, which we should know before the 34 wildcard, I'll probably have triple City anyway. I'll find a way to get either Foden or Laporte into my team. So I don't think I need it. And again, even if I did, who am I benching here? I don't want to bench any of these players. So even on a free hit, because I was about to say let's build a free hit 37, it's going to look pretty much like this. I might get a Crystal Palace defender in there because Palace have been defending very well. That might be a potential option. You might want to fit a Wilf Zaha in there if you want. Like, it might be that instead of Ramsey here, I could even upgrade though. I've got 6.2 million in the bank. So at this stage, I could even potentially upgrade if I wanted to. I could get like a Conor Gallagher in here if I wanted to. Right? That's an option if you decide you want more. If you don't want that triple up on Aston Villa, you could go to a Crystal Palace player. There are multiple options here, but I'm not necessarily sure, like I said, that it's even worth that much for me. Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. I'd say you'd free hit in 33 as you don't know about the City fixtures yet. Should know for when you wildcard. Yeah, it's what I'm currently leaning towards, to be honest. Foden instead of De Bruyne. Yeah, it might be that I end up doing that. Foden just, De Bruyne just looks so good. Foden looks good as well, of course, but De Bruyne looks back to his best. By the way, if you are watching this and you're enjoying the stream, do please drop a thumbs up on the stream. I massively appreciate it. I've only got 50 likes, so if you're watching this and you're enjoying it, please do drop a like. Could a premium keeper be the difference at the end of the season? Before all of the premiums started smashing it, so before the likes of Son, Kane, De Bruyne, Salah, all of these guys started smashing it, I actually had Edouard Mendy in every single one of my drafts. The reason for that is Chelsea have got the good defensive data. Even if they do wrap up third, I still have a feeling that Mendy would play the majority of the minutes. And they've got that double in 36, double in 37. And I think the same goes for Edison, could be a decent keeper as well. But I don't think it's worth the extra money if you're trying to bench boost and you're also trying to squeeze in all of those premiums. So for me, maybe not at the moment, Kingsight. Maybe I'd be looking for, I think Schmeichel would be fine. Or even someone like a Ramsdale you could go for. Pickford could be decent. I honestly think a premium keeper is a must. Yeah, there's a few people that like the premium keeper then potentially. Any intentions of Coutinho, Havertz, Mount? Coutinho unlikely until 37, but I could potentially look to get him in 37. Mason, Mount, again unlikely. Havertz has been in a couple of my drafts, but again, since Son, Kane, De Bruyne, Salah, all of these guys are smashing it. I'm struggling to get mid-price midfielders into my team. And if I do have the space for one, I actually want probably Maddison or Barnes, just because of all the doubles they've got. What I really need is your perfect game week 33 free hit. Yeah, coming soon. Probably tomorrow. I just need to sit down and record it. I've got all of the graphics made. Probably hasn't changed too much. I'll change a couple of players because I do really want De Bruyne in a draft. But yeah, it'll be coming. Great stream as ever, Ross. Thank you. No worries, P-Macca. Thank you for watching as always. Pickford, Bird, and Gordon on bench. Fuming. That is tough. Dan Burn could be a cheeky player on the free hit. I've considered Dan Burn in a couple of drafts. I think it's 4.4 million, isn't he? Pretty decent. Don't mention that name, Zaha. Yeah. 5 points for me, though. Decent. If you have 2 free transfers for 33, maybe worth saving the free hit for 35 or 38. I don't have 2 free transfers, unfortunately. I only have 1. I don't have a lot in the bank either. Richie says free hit 37 is much better. So have you just joined the stream or did you watch the last 15 minutes? If you watch the last 15 minutes, what other players would you have on free hit? Let me see if I can switch back to it actually. This is the team I can get to for free in game week 37 without a free hit. So who else would you add in? This is assuming City get the double. If City don't get the double, I maybe wouldn't captain De Bruyne. But who else would you bring in on a free hit 37? I don't think it's necessarily worth it, personally. I brought in Kulusevski and Wood in for Weghorst and Rafinha. Happy with those moves. Yeah, really nice shouts. Good transfers. I mean, I wouldn't have probably taken out Rafinha, but yeah, I guess 10 points isn't the end of the world. Hi, Ross. When will your free hit 33 be up? It should be tomorrow. At the very latest, it will be up on Tuesday morning. So it'll be up in the next couple of days. So yeah. Oh yeah, so Richie's just said, yeah. So this is what I'm saying. So if you did miss it, this is off a 34 wildcard. Because you have a 34 wildcard, I don't think you need a free hit in 36 or 37 if you've got the 34 wildcard, personally. Rafinha and Cody to bench boost. Yeah, I could. It is very feasible. The issue that I've got with that is that James is a doubt, as he always is. Doherty's injured. Gordon's not particularly ideal. Zaha's not particularly ideal. Van Dijk's not particularly ideal. So I could put together a bench boost here. It's just a bit naff. It's not a great bench boost. And when I've saved the bench boost this long and I can get out a very good bench boost for 36 or 37, I think I'd rather save the bench boost. Oh, those moves are for next game week from my last... Okay, yeah, I like that. Kulusevski and Wood for next week is really nice. Shah is better than Burn, in my opinion. I actually prefer Target to both of them, personally. I think Saar and Pukki is better than Maddison and Kucho/Mateta. You could be right. I don't really... Saar and Pukki's just... They're from two sides that are probably going to be relegated by then. Do I really want players? Maybe. Potentially. Thoughts on Tellers as a Doherty replacement? I actually really like Tellers for this week. I think I just about prefer Target. If I was on a free hit, my free hit would probably include both Tellers and Target. So I'd probably have both of them, to be honest. I still don't know if I want a free hit 33 or not. I think I do, to be honest. I think I do. I think the thing that's worrying me is that I don't really want to take out Kane, Kulusevski, Cancelo, James, etc. But I'll probably keep Kane anyway. I'll keep Cancelo. So realistically, I'm just taking out James and Kulusevski because Doherty's probably injured. In which case, I'm not expecting them to go too crazy, and hopefully their replacements will do fairly well. How do you get the different kits on the FPL site? It's from FF Trout on Twitter. I can try and find it for you. 2 seconds. It's a Chrome extension, essentially. You download the Chrome extension. It just basically... It's only on your pick your team. When you make transfers and stuff, it does... There you go. There's the tweet. It just spices things up a little bit, I guess. There you go. If you click on that tweet, you can download the Chrome extension. You can get the away kits. It's obviously only when the team's playing away. Wildcard 35 and bench boost 36, I think, is the way I might go. Yeah, I don't think my team on the 34 wildcard will change that much from 35. My team's not looking great for 34. So I think I want to go for a 34 wildcard, but I don't mind 35 wildcard. What will your free hit 33 draft look like? I've got an entire video coming tomorrow on that, so I don't want to double the content. If people want to watch this and that video, I don't want to cover the same thing twice. I'd much rather give them two different things to watch. So, not going to cover free hit 33 too much, but it's fairly similar to what most people will be going with. There's not that many players to choose from. Just came here and I'm in the same spot with you. I think I'll free hit, but Man United looking so bad isn't good. It's not ideal, but realistically, I was probably only ever going to have Ronaldo and Fernandes anyway, maybe Tellez, and their data is still good. Manchester United aren't any good, but those two are still putting up good underlying stats, so I think I'm okay still having them. Sorry for the sniffing, by the way. I'm a little bit ill, a little bit under the weather. How many points did Nana Raptor get this week? Good question. Shall I have a look? What am I doing? Points. Where's our family league? Nana Raptor ended on 70 points. 74 points. So she should be pushing top 10k now. Nana Raptor will be very close to top 10k. Shall I? I'll try and I'll get a team up for you to see. This is Nana Raptor's team. It says 17k there, but I don't think that's actually what she'll end on. This was Nana Raptor's team. So goalkeeping decision wrong. Outside of that, pretty good. She captained Salah, Rafinha, Kulusevski, Kane, Tony, Havertz. She just keeps making good decisions, to be fair. So she is top of our family league. As you can see here, she is top of our family league. Unfortunately for me, I can't seem to bloody catch her, to be honest. I've kind of given up, to be honest. Like I said, I'm at 54k now. I don't think it's probably very feasible. But yeah, I'll get over it. I don't mind her doing well, to be fair. Love your insights into FPL. Thank you very much, my man. I appreciate that. Let's talk FPL raid. Cool, as he finished streaming. Very nice. Might get a few more viewers over here then. To be fair, I would have probably watched Andy's stream anyway, so I don't blame you. If you've just come from Andy's stream, that's absolutely fine. Are you confident about Ronaldo captain? I'm not, to be honest. And like, what happened with that instant with Ronaldo as well, slapping the phone out of that kid's hand as well? He might be punished for that. If there's any doubt about Ronaldo, that might push me to free hit, to be honest. But that's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't think there'll be any sort of ban because I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest that he did that to the kid's hand. Like, you can see him slap the phone, but there's no... I don't think they'll push that much further than maybe like a fine. We'll see. To be honest, if you look at Manchester United's schedule, let me see if I can get it up here. Manchester United have actually got a very busy schedule coming up. It could potentially be that he's benched against Norwich anyway. It looks like a decent time to bench him. Yeah, so this is their fixtures. So it's the 16th of April. They've got Norwich. 19th of April, Liverpool. 23rd of April, Arsenal. And then they've got a bit of a break till Brentford. But what you've essentially got is in the space of a week now, they've got Norwich, Liverpool, Arsenal. Obviously, Norwich isn't an easy game for us. No game is easy at the moment. But if there is a game to rest Ronaldo, and last time he played 3 times in 7 days, he actually picked up an injury. There's the potential that he's benched against Norwich anyway. It does worry me slightly. I mean, I'm potentially thinking about captaining Bruno anyway if I free hit. Is it worth having James on wildcard? Not worth the risk that comes with the money, in my opinion. Probs prefer Alonso, think he's a bit overlooked. I'm not going to go to Alonso. James has just got such better statistics. I think he's as nailed as Alonso anyway. If Chelsea get knocked out against Madrid, I think James is going to play a lot. Yes, they might progress in the FA Cup as well, but there's not going to be that many games left in the FA Cup anyway. I really hope they get knocked out because that will confirm for me probably going for James on a wildcard. I might even double up then with Rudiger or Havertz. But yeah, if they somehow pull that Champions League tie back, there is a consideration to go without James. Absolutely. Green arrow from 60k to 45k without Son. That's excellent. Yeah, if you've got a green arrow without Son, that's absolutely brilliant. I changed my mind at the last minute from Son captain to Kane. The EO scared me of Kane. Mate, you own Kane and Son. You're laughing. That's absolutely fine. Don't beat yourself up about that sort of thing. To be honest, I actually still think Kane's the best captaincy shout every week. He's got very similar underlying statistics to Son. Do you know what? Should we move on to that section? What I thought would be interesting to do. Let's do that. That was a sort of nice transition anyway. So I thought it might actually be quite interesting to just look at some player comparisons. So you can drop... I'm just going to go over to the Fantasy Football Fix website. Drop any player comparisons that you want me to look at. All right? So if there's any players you want me to compare, we can look at the underlying statistics for the two of them. And I think that might make for something quite interesting to discuss. All right? So we'll do Son and Kane in a minute anyway. But for now, I thought we could have a cheeky look at Salah versus De Bruyne. So this is... I'll just copy in the link for you if you want to go over... I can't remember... Because obviously I'm a YouTuber for Fantasy Football Fix. So I don't actually know what are premium features and what aren't, because I've got a premium membership. But I don't think this is cost. I think this is free. I can't actually remember. Anyway, so what you can do is you can compare two players and you can actually change the game week. So what I thought we'd do for Mo Salah versus De Bruyne, I don't think this will incorporate the statistics from tonight's game, which is annoying because De Bruyne looked excellent, but it looks across the rest of the season anyway, right? So if we look... I know some people don't really like touch maps. I think they're super helpful, and I just think they're interesting to look at anyway. The first thing to note is that Salah has played an extra 700 minutes. So we're going to look at per 90 statistics as a result, because Salah's played all those extra minutes, so I don't think it's necessarily worth looking at total statistics, because Salah's got an unfair advantage there. But if we take a look at their touch maps, obviously they're very different players. De Bruyne's doing most of his work outside the box. Does get into the box, of course, with those driving runs. Salah's doing most of his best work in the box. If we look at shots, this is where obviously Salah comes into his own here. Yes, he's played more minutes, but Salah has had 119 shots this season. It's just a ridiculous number of shots that he's had. Now, also, a lot of them are from inside the box. If it's green, by the way, that means it's gone in. So that's from where the goals are. Lots and lots of shots from inside the box. Lots of De Bruyne's actually outside the box. But De Bruyne's, obviously, his main source for points is creativity. It's expected assist. If we take a look at attempted assists, of course, this is where De Bruyne becomes incredible. A lot of these are from corners, but equally, Just so creative. Similarly to Kane, a lot of their points and their expected points coming from assists. What my favorite thing to do though for this section is if you just scroll down, it will just give you a glimpse of average statistic per 90. So this first one is total. We don't want to look at that. We want to look at this bottom section here, which is their average statistic per 90. What it essentially boils down to is Salah has the better goal threat, De Bruyne has the higher creativity. And this is what you would expect from the two of them, right? You would expect Salah to have the higher goal threat. You would expect De Bruyne to be more creative. But what you want to look at, I guess, is their total statistics. And to be honest, it is massively in favour of Salah. And this is why, for me, again, we're going to look at more recent statistics in a second. For me, I struggle to go without Salah in favour of De Bruyne because he's got ridiculous underlying statistics. So I'm just going to draw your attention to, obviously, the most sort of important, obvious ones. Expected goals, right? So this is basically a metric that lets you know how likely they are to score a goal in any given game in the past anyway. This is not non-penalty, so this is taking into account penalties. Salah's is 0.77, so he's getting 0.77 expected goals per 90. De Bruyne's is 0.19. It's not even comparable there. 0.19 is not bad at all for a sort of what can be a number 8 De Bruyne can play. But 0.77 is in a league of his own. He's the best in the league this year by some distance. Getting more shots on target, more shots in the box, more assists. De Bruyne has slightly higher expected assists, but only 0.35 in comparison to Salah's 0.31. So what that means is Salah's expected goal involvement per 90 is 1.08. De Bruyne's is, what is that? 0.54. Right, is that... I didn't even know. That is exactly double. Right? I think I've done my maths there correctly. So Salah's is 1.08. De Bruyne's is 0.54. So you are getting double the expected goal involvement of Salah across the season in comparison to De Bruyne. But what I thought would also be interesting is if we look at a more recent set of games. So should we switch it from... This is going to be a really arbitrary number that I'm just pulling out the sky here. Should we do from game week 28 onwards, after blank game week 27? I'm just pulling a random number out the sky here, 28. Does that put them on an equal-ish number of minutes? Oh, it puts them on an identical number of minutes, both on 338 minutes. So we're looking here from game week 28 onwards. What's changed, right? So Salah is still shooting more. Salah's had 20 shots, but De Bruyne's had 11. So that they're closing in slightly, but Salah is still shooting more in apparently what is a poor patch of form for Salah. If we look at their sort of touch maps, heat maps, Salah's looks identical, De Bruyne's looks identical. There's not much of a change between them with respect to that. If we have a look at their underlying statistics, again, Salah's definitely coming out on top, but the gap has closed here. So expected goals here for De Bruyne and Salah, 0.59 for Salah, 0.32 for De Bruyne. So De Bruyne's is actually very consistent. Slightly higher here, but he's not ever going sort of above 0.5. Whereas Salah's has dropped from 0.77 to 0.59. And then expected assists, they're basically identical. 0.27 for Salah, 0.28 for De Bruyne. So this confirms the narrative, right? De Bruyne is improving. De Bruyne is starting to put up very good underlying statistics. That puts De Bruyne's expected goal involvement at 0.6 over since game week 28. But Salah is still out on top. So I don't think I can realistically justify going for De Bruyne instead of Salah. What I can probably justify is going for De Bruyne as well as Salah. But then the issue comes, do you drop Son? Do you drop Kulusevski? Drop Kane? Right? What players do you want me to look at? Maddison versus Barnes? Yeah, we can do Maddison versus Barnes. We'll do it across the season and we'll do it more recently again. So you can do all of this yourself, by the way. I dropped the link in the chat for you. Let's drop to Leicester. Maddison. So Maddison's going to be on the right. And then Barnes is going to be on the left. Right. So again, Maddison's played an extra 300 minutes on top of Barnes. So bear that in mind when we're looking at sort of total shots and their touch maps and heat maps and stuff. This is it's a very similar story to like Salah versus De Bruyne when we're looking at the touch maps at least. Right, Harvey Barnes is an out-and-out left winger, getting quite a lot of touches in the box, sort of dominating that left flank. Whereas Maddison is playing in a very similar role to KDB. So again, if you look at KDB's touch map, very, very similar. If we're looking at shots, it's pretty much identical between the two, right? Both getting a lot of shots off. Maddison scored some more goals, so might suggest that Barnes is a slightly poor finisher, right? Getting a lot of shots here, Barnes, cutting in off that left, but not doing a massive amount with it. So Not a lot to split them there. If we just scroll down to their statistics per 90 across the season, James Maddison does come out on top on most underlying statistics. So for expected goals, Maddison's just about coming out on top at 0.26 to Harvey Barnes 0.23. And then expected assist, Maddison's coming out just on top at 0.18 to Harvey Barnes' 0.13. All right, outside of that, Harvey Barnes is getting slightly more shots in the box, slightly more assists, slightly more crosses. But realistically, I would say if they were going to play equal minutes, for me, James Maddison's the one to own. His underlying statistics are just better for me. It really does come down to the PSV game, though. Who plays more minutes in that game? Does it go to 120 minutes? What is worth noting, by the way, I think Leicester are now 11 points off 6th with 3 games in hand. Leicester could still potentially get 6th or 7th in the Premier League. So it's not that they don't have anything to play for. It's just that... Sorry, it's not that they have like lots to play for, but they have the chance. So I think the narrative that they're going to basically rest everyone in the Prem because they've got nothing to play for. Maybe if they win the next couple of games, if they win against Newcastle and Everton in 33, it might be worth loading up heavy on them from 34 onwards because they might start to actually prioritise the Premier League a little bit. So anyway, I think on my free hit, as you're going to see tomorrow or Tuesday when I release the video, I'd probably have Barnes and Maddison. But if I could only choose one long term, if you're thinking maybe like wildcarding soon, or if you're just using a free transfers, I'd probably say long term Maddison's the one for me. What other players do you want me to compare? Should we take a look at Son versus Kulusevski? Might be an interesting one. Just to basically see, is Son that much better than Kulu? Can we make the downgrade of Son to Kulu? It's a decent discussion to have. Right, so we'll do Kulu on the left. And we'll do Sonny on the right. Obviously, Son's going to come out on top here. But it will be interesting to see how much, right? Obviously, again, Son has played an extra sort of 1,600 minutes on top of Kulusevski there. So total stats are going to be useless to look at. Basically, both incredible touch maps, right? They're both getting into the box a lot, both picking up the ball in the right positions. If we take a look at their shot maps, again, both shooting a lot inside the box. Son in particular is outrageous. A lot of central shots for someone that does play on the left or on the right, but obviously cuts in a lot. Kulusevski's getting a lot of good shots off as well, though. Mostly in the box, very good positions, and he's very lethal with that left foot. So not too much to separate them when you take into account the fact that he has played about a third of the minutes of Son. He's actually getting a very similar amount of shots in, Kulusevski and Son. If we take a look at their data per 90, expected goals, again, probably the best thing to look at when you're looking at sort of bringing in a player, expected goals, expected assists, 0.22 for Dejan Kulusevski, 0.43 for Son. So Son is definitely coming out on top here. Son is definitely the better player to own, getting double the expected goals to Kulusevski. For expected assists, though, Kulusevski is actually coming out on top at 0.34 to Son 0.21. What that means is for Kulusevski, his non-penalty expected goal involvement is actually 0.56. Right, so very good for his price. 0.56 is highly impressive for what, 6.2, 6.3 million. Sonny's at 0.64. Not actually that much to separate them, is there? All right. Son is a world-class finisher, though, and you can't neglect that, right? But when you're looking at 0.56 for 6.3 million versus Sonny's 0.64 for significantly more, I'm genuinely wondering if... It sounds crazy, but I am wondering if I can go for without Kane and Son and keep Kulusevski in my team. Alternatively, you can go for Kulusevski and then one of Son and Kane, potentially. But what this would suggest to me is that Kulusevski's actually keeping up with Son with respect to underlying data. But what this doesn't consider is, like I said, Sonny is a world-class finisher. He's been outperforming his underlying statistics for years now. There's absolutely nothing new here. Kulusevski, we just don't know. Kulusevski hasn't been long enough. All right. So, yeah. Wood versus St. Maximan. I do that tomorrow on the Fantasy Football Fix channel. Let me copy the channel across in case you guys don't subscribe to it. So if you don't know, I make one video a week for Fantasy Football Fix on their YouTube channel. The video going out tomorrow at 9 a.m., right? So it's going out tomorrow at 9 a.m. from yours truly, is going to be looking at St. Maximan versus Wood. So if you want a comparison between those two, you got the option there. What other players are we maybe wanting to do a comparison between? Mount versus Havertz. Yeah, I can do Mount versus Havertz for sure. We'll do this as the final one, and then we'll move on to some other stuff to discuss. Chelsea. Mount. Havertz. Right, Havertz on the left, Mount on the right. So minutes-wise, Mount's actually played about an extra 400 minutes on top of Havertz. So again, take that into account when you're looking at the underlying statistics. Havertz touch map, I should say, and the amount of touches that he gets on the box is actually remarkable. So I was looking at this a couple of weeks ago now. Look at that touch map. Now, I know touch maps aren't for everyone, but he just gets into some incredible positions, and he plays so far forward. He plays as a genuine number 9 for Chelsea. It's not as a false 9. He is playing as an out-and-out 9 for them, and the positions that he's getting into just means that he gets a lot of opportunities, gets a lot of touch in the box. Mount, though, for playing on the right wing, again, is getting a lot of touch in the box. So both of these players are definitely good options for sort of wildcard 34 onwards. If we're looking at who takes the most shots, of course, Mount's playing an extra 400 minutes. They're both getting a lot of shots, right? They're both getting a lot of shots in the box, both getting a lot of opportunities here, high XG opportunities as well. I don't think you can particularly go wrong with either of these guys. If we look at attempted assist, Havertz doesn't make any. So Havertz has actually only got 11 attempted assists this season. And when we take a look at his underlying data, Havertz is not a creative player at all. He's a big goal threat, but he's not very creative, whereas Mount's obviously creating quite a lot of opportunities. There's their average position, by the way. So Havertz is slightly deeper, but obviously more central. Mount slightly higher, but out to the right. If we look at that underlying data, Mount is definitely out on top, right? So Mount has better underlying statistics than Havertz in basically every category. So expected goals, Havertz is just about on top, but it's 0.36 for Mount, 0.37 for Havertz. So basically comparable between the two. Both of them very good expected goals data there. If we then look at expected assists, like I said, Havertz just isn't creative, right? 0.08 isn't great. Again, he is a number 9, but you'd still hope to be behind that. That puts his non-penalty expected... his expected goal involvement at 0.45. Mason Mount has got 0.23 expected assist and 0.36 expected goals. That puts his expected goal involvement at 0.59. So we're talking 0.59 versus 0.45. Mount's actually the one to own. If you think they're going to get a similar amount of minutes over the back end of the season, I'd actually favour Mason Mount. Now, what might be interesting is looking a little bit more recently. So if we look from game week 28 onwards again, like we did after blank game week, Havertz has played slightly more minutes. But if we look at the underlying statistics more recently for the two, slightly more comparable, right? And Havertz expected goals. So in the last 405 minutes that Havertz has played, Havertz expected goals is up to 0.67. Right, so Havertz has seen a massive boost in his goal threat. Mount's is very similar to season. So Mount's actually performing very consistently there, 0.34 expected goals. And then expected assists for Havertz, 0.11. Expected assists for Mason Mount, 0.27. So Mason Mount is sitting at about a 0.61 there. Expected... Oh, my camera's lagging out. Let me just turn it off for 2 seconds. I'm still here, don't worry. I just need to reset my camera whilst it lags out. So essentially, Mason Mount is sitting at a 0.61 expected goal involvement, but Havertz is now up to about a 0.78 expected goal involvement. So in more recent weeks, I actually think that Havertz is the one to own. If you're looking at across the season, it's definitely Mason Mount. So it really depends what you give more weight to. I think I would just about prefer Havertz at the moment. I think he's slightly more nailed. And I also just think more recently, his underlying data is actually very, very good. So hopefully that helps having a little bit at that comparison. Is there any final players that anyone wanted me to do? Saka versus Martinelli, right? We'll make Saka versus Martinelli the final one. And then, yeah, then we'll move on after that. Like I said, you can do this for yourself over on the Fix website. I'm not getting paid to say that in this video, but I use it a lot, right? So Saka's going to be on the left. Martinelli's going to be on the right. Again, we'll do across the season. Again, worth noting that Saka's played more minutes. Saka's played an extra 1,000 minutes on top of Martinelli, which is a massive amount of minutes extra to be playing on top of someone. So that does need to be taken into consideration. Right, here are their touch points. So obviously playing on opposite sides to each other. So Salah's playing on the right wing. Saka's playing on the right wing. Martinelli is playing on the left wing. Let's try and reset this camera. Let's have a look. Right, but very similar sort of touch maps, to be honest. Obviously, they're playing in the same system for the same team, so you might expect to see that. Here we go. Camera back on. Lovely stuff. But fairly comparable. Both getting into the box a lot. Both getting into some good positions. If we just scroll straight down, we'll just look at their underlying statistics per 90. Expected goals, Martinelli's actually massively out on top here. Right? So Martinelli's at 0.36 and Saka's at 0.23. It's worth noting straight away, we said this in previous videos, Martinelli doesn't play 90 minutes though. He's much more likely to be rotated. He's much more likely to be hooked around 60, 70 minutes. So yes, Martinelli is outperforming Saka with respect to expected goals, but Saka plays 90 or 80 at least normally. Martinelli doesn't ever seem to see 90 minutes. I'd actually say his expected minutes are around sort of 50, 60, because even when he plays, he doesn't see 90. He's often on the bench, obviously for Smith Rowe. Expected assists, Saka's just about on top. So what you've got with Saka is a 0.46 expected goal involvement per 90. With Martinelli, you've got a 0.52. So Martinelli, if Martinelli plays a similar amount of minutes to Saka, he's a much better asset to own according to underlying data. And Martinelli's a very good finisher of the ball as well. That being said, I think Saka, if you have the money to the one to go for, just for security of minutes, I still think he's probably worth targeting. Hopefully that was helpful to look at some sort of player comparisons there for you guys. On Wildcard 34, is it better to have Salah and Havertz and Foden instead of Salah and Kane? Salah and Havertz and Foden instead. That's a really tricky one. Depends how often you want to captain Kane, I guess. Also depends who you would have in those midfield spots if not Havertz and Foden. So if you go for the Salah and Kane option, who's going in there instead of Havertz and Foden? I don't think it's as straightforward as that. Hey Ross, which single game week players would you keep in a free hit team for next week? I would probably have... Oh, God, got the hiccups. I'd have Cancelo in there. I'd have Kane or Son, and I'd probably have De Bruyne at the moment. So 3. I'd probably have 3. And yeah, Cancelo's just so good. I don't think I can take Cancelo out, and I do think that Brighton fixture is pretty good. Trent worries me slightly, but I don't think I can justify spending 8.5 million pound on a defender against Manchester United in a free hit when there are doubles. I don't think I can justify that. 7 million for Cancelo against Brighton at home is justifiable. So I think Cancelo, Kane... It would probably be for me Cancelo, Kane, and KDB would be on my free hit. But I'm going to build some... there's a free hit video coming out, like I said, tomorrow. Thoughts on cash for Wildcard 34. Love the fixtures, but Villa's defence has been poor lately. If you go back in this stream, after I've uploaded this stream, I'm going to timestamp it so you can watch it later or tomorrow or later on in the week. I've already built a Wildcard 34 draft on the stream, and I did have Matty Cash in it. So hopefully that answers your question as well. Max, any players that must have on a Wildcard 34? I've already built a Wildcard 34 draft early on in the stream. So just shift back and watch the previous parts of the stream to find that out. No Salah against Manchester United. Yeah, I'll be going without Salah. Manchester United's defensive data isn't great, but it's not terrible. Salah's attacking data more recently has dropped off slightly. And I don't think I can justify spending sort of 13 odd million pounds on him. It would be completely through fear. It would be through fear of what happened in game week 9. It would be through fear of having a high ownership Salah battering my rank. I don't think that's a justifiable reason to put him in my free hit though. Who would you lean towards out of Saka and Kulusevski? Appreciate the comparisons. You're welcome. I would probably still lean just about towards Saka if I had Kane or Son. If I didn't have those, I do still like Kulusevski. And Kulusevski's underlying data is slightly better than Saka. So, to be honest, if you can get both in, I think they're both good options. But Kulusevski might be the one. I just don't like the idea of having no one from Arsenal when they're pushing for top 4. And if we look at Arsenal's fixtures... Right, so we're not considering here because we're thinking probably for 34 wildcard onwards. Man United and West Ham aren't ideal, right? So these two here aren't ideal. After that, they've got Leeds and Tottenham for the double, which is a really nice double game week. And they've then got Newcastle and Everton to finish the season. I'm probably going to want Saka for Newcastle and Everton. But if I want him for Newcastle and Everton, I'll probably just have him for the double because they've got Leeds at home in there as well. And if I want him for the double, Well, I guess it probably makes sense to have him on the free hit. On the wild card, I should say. Thoughts on De Bruyne on the free hit? Yeah, I want De Bruyne on my free hit, probably. If I know I'm going to free hit 33, should I activate it as soon as possible? I don't know. Are there any price changes? Should we have a look if there's any price changes? Let's have a look. If I click on that button, then that button. Sorry, there's not going to be like a graphic made for this. We can just look if there's any price changes. You're not going to be able to see that, are you? That's annoying. Do you know what? Let me adjust it for you. It's not very professional, but we're going to do this so that you can see with me. Here we go. Look at that. That'll do. Right, these are the price changes for tonight then. I don't know why I've still got a watch list of players. None of these are actually on my watch list. Right, to change time tonight. So Laporte and Son look like they're going up tonight. Sonny's going to be close though, because Sonny's actually not at 100%. So if you've never followed price changes, if they're above 100%, it means Fantasy Football Fixer predicting them to go up in price. If they're below 100, it means they're not. But because he's rising at 4% per hour, obviously the price changes are going to be 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1. They're about 4 hours till the price changes. Obviously, that would be 16% in 4 hours, so it'd be 106%. So at his current rate, Son's projected to go up in price. Laporte is projected to go up in price, but he's obviously rising quite slowly, so maybe not. So if you want Laporte or Son on your free hit, you might want to. And then me, Zinchenko, Butland, and Fornals are decreasing in price. Are there any other players that are close? I wouldn't activate the free hit tonight then. Unless you're desperate for Son in your free hit, and you're going to be priced out of your perfect free hit if you don't put Son in now, I would wait to activate the free hit. There's no price changes. But tomorrow you've got Kulusevski, Maddison, Tony. There are some players that you might want on your free hit that look like they might be rising in price. So yeah. There you go. Hopefully that answers your question as to whether you should activate your free hit. Best Doherty replacements not on a free hit. Telles, Shah, Target, Laporte. If you're not on your free hit, I'm not sure I'd bother with Newcastle or Manchester United players. Unless you've got a wild card coming. Outside of that, I would probably look a little bit longer term than that. Like, they're decent this week, Manchester United and Newcastle players. But you're not going to want either of them long term. Is Doherty playing in game week 33? Don't have a clue. We'll find that out hopefully from Conte's press conference. Is Mane a viable option? Any chance of seeing his change in data since playing down the middle? Do you know when Mane started playing down the middle? And we can take a look at that. I don't actually know when he started playing down the middle. Like what week in particular. KDB or Son? On the free hit, I think I want KDB, to be honest. But you could get both, to be honest. I'm going to build a free hit draft with Son and KDB in it. So, yeah. Last question from me. Don't have to be your last question unless you're heading off. Kane and Kulusevski or Richarlison and Son for the rest of the season? Oh, that's a really... Probably Kane and Kulusevski, to be honest. Although in the draft that I just built, I had Richarlison and Son. I do really like Richarlison's fixtures, and he's on penalties. But of course, Kane's on penalties, and I like his fixtures. But the difference between Kane and Richarlison is massive. The difference between Kulusevski and Son isn't actually that big. So probably Kane and Kulusevski. Sancho or Bruno on the free hit? Bruno. Sancho's underlying data is really not actually that great. I'd be going for Bruno. And there's a chance Bruno takes a penalty as well. Ronaldo's probably still on pens, but you never know. Bro, don't bottle it. Just free hit 33. Don't let these free hit 37 thoughts come into your mind. Our plan is set. Yeah. I'll probably still free hit 33. What single game week players would you recommend for a free hit this week? I've answered that question like 30 times. It's still Cancelo, De Bruyne, and then one of Kane or Son. I'm not personally going to have any Liverpool players. That's not because I'm a Manchester United fan. In fact, Manchester United fans are probably more pessimistic about Manchester United than anyone. It's just the fixture on paper isn't as good as the double game week players. If you go into FPL review and put together a team, they are not going to recommend choosing the likes of Trent. They'll recommend a double game week player. And if they're going to recommend a single game week player, I think Cancelo is absolutely fine if you want to go that way. How many points did you get in game week 32? It was 59, I think. 59 points. This was my team. Wasn't great, to be honest. Could have been a lot better. Zaha getting a 5-pointer helped a little bit, considering I took a hit for Zaha and Ronaldo. It didn't pay off at all. If he'd have slotted that penalty home and didn't miss a penalty, it would have been better. Cancelo 5-pointer was nice. Rafinha 10, Kulusevski 12, Kane getting a 10-pointer. Gordon getting a 10-pointer on my bench was infuriating because I'd played him the few weeks before that. But yeah, it wasn't terrible, to be honest. This is my game week history. This is my rank, this column here. All right, this is my rank. You can see I've been very consistent since game week 9. Game week 10, I should say. So from here, 78k, 34k, 33k, 44, 40, 36, 50, 30. It's been incredibly consistent. I've barely moved. Lots of reds and greens up and down like a couple of 1,000 places. I have had 3 reds on the bounce, though. I mean, I haven't played any chips, which is worth noting. A couple of people played their free at 30. A couple of people wildcarded 31. A lot of people wildcarded sort of 28 as well to set up for this period. So I haven't actually played a chip since 27. So that's maybe one of the reasons. But I just think just a bit of bad luck, maybe a couple of poor decisions, but ridiculously boring this period here. If I wasn't creating content for YouTube, which I absolutely love doing, I would have been bored senseless. Look at that. It's just sort of series of game weeks of just not moving. And if I was in the top 10k, if I was ranked at like 5k, it's less boring because you're hanging on, you're happy to. It's just been like, at the end of the week, I sometimes don't even look at live FPL. It's been that sort of mediocre for me. I thought I was pushing in the right direction here when I was at 31k. But like I said, 3 reds on the bounce isn't ideal. So yeah. Decisions to be made for this week and beyond. If I don't free hit this week, then it obviously changes the wildcard slightly. If I do free hit this week, I'm sticking to the plan of wildcard 34 and then either bench boost 36 or bench boost 37. As I said earlier, if I wildcard 34, I don't actually think I need to decide whether I bench boost in 36 or 37 yet. I think I can decide that around 36, 37 because the wildcard doesn't actually change too much. So yeah. Like I said, sorry about being blocked up. I need to go black my nose at some point. Is Kane and Son an option for game week 33 or even all the way? Yeah, it's absolutely fine as an option, for sure. There are other good options like Salah, like KDB, like spreading the funds a little bit more, maybe going for Salah and Son, and then rather than Kane, you can get Havertz, Foden, Reece James, Cancelo, Trent. Like I do wonder if the 3 premium draft is fear of missing out. It looks like the sensible decision is just building a draft with 2 premiums and sticking with those 2 premiums and just hoping that those are the 2 premiums that do the best. Like you can't own everyone. And I do wonder looking at those 3 premium wildcard drafts, if I'm trying my best to own everyone when it's just not possible. White or Charlie Taylor on the free hit? I probably actually like Charlie Taylor out of those 2, maybe. I think Cedric could be a decent option on a free hit as well. Should I take a -4 for Weghorst out for another player and who? I would still keep him. He's terrible, but surely you knew he was terrible when you brought him in. Like, again, if you've watched my channel, underlying statistics, they were poor. That's why I didn't bring Weghorst in. So nothing's changed there. He's still got a decent double. I know he's got the potential to be benched in one of them. I'd probably just back him, to be honest. He looks pretty crap, but I don't think I would take him out. If you do want to, I think St. Maximan and Wood would probably be at the top of my list. Hey Ross, I have Kane and Salah, but can afford to bring in either Son or KDB also. Lovely position to be in. Which one would you go for? Many thanks. I prefer KDB. I think you need to try and not let past points influence your decision. And if I were to project or try and predict who would get more points out of Son and KDB over the back end of the season, I think I'd lean towards KDB. It's a tricky one, though. Assuming Ronaldo is fit, is Salah to Kulusevski and King to Ronaldo worth it for a -4? Maybe. Maybe just about, yeah. I wonder if you could just do Salah to Bruno and be done with it that way. I kind of wish I'd done that in my team. I had the opportunity to just go Salah to Bruno, but I wanted Ronaldo and I wanted Zaha. And like I'm looking at it now, I'd probably rather have not taken a hit and have Bruno in my team. Bruno's just a safer captaincy because he's going to start both games. Salah and Willock to Son and Maddison. Wildcard 34, Salah back into my team. Yeah, I like that, Leon. I think that's pretty decent. Again, I'm happy going without Salah, but beware that it is Salah. But yeah, I think Son and to me, that might end up being Son and Barnes, to be honest, Leon, because Maddison's played so many minutes off the back of an injury. Barnes was rested in game week 32. I wonder if Barnes might actually see more minutes in blank/double game week 33. Wildcard 26 looking like winners, I think. Potentially. I don't think any certain strategy is a winner. I'll be honest. I'm not looking at any strategy and thinking that was the winning strategy. Some people did quite well off wildcard. Like, for example, let's talk FPL Andy. Of course, everyone watches Andy. We were a very similar rank. He's played pretty much all of his chips apart from, I think he's got one free hit left, if I'm correct. So, and I think he's 40 or so points ahead of me, about 45 points ahead of me. But I've got wildcard and bench boost still. So if my wildcard and bench boost can net me 45 points, I'll be on pretty much exactly the same as Andy on his wildcard 26. So, yeah. I don't think there's any one strategy, but some people that wildcard in 26 like Andy did very, very well with it. Absolutely. What assets from Leicester would you go for? I think James Justin in defence, Dewsbury Hall, Maddison, Barnes in midfield. That'd probably be it. I think on a free hit, I'd probably have Barnes, Maddison, and maybe Justin. Potentially Schmeichel if you wanted to go there. And then, again, if you've got a third spot free, Dewsbury Hall on the bench isn't a bad option. I'm not necessarily sure I'd want to start KDH, but I don't think he's a terrible option. I think De Bruyne just messed with our heads tonight because he was so bloody brilliant, when in reality, Foden is similar in FPL for 4 million less. Do you know what, Max? That's an excellent point. That is an excellent point. If you look at their underlying statistics, Foden is very similar. De Bruyne is just such a good player. I actually agree with that very much so. I think watching today, I think we forgot about FPL almost and we switched to our football brains. Yes, De Bruyne created a lot of chances and he could have had a massive haul from an FPL perspective. But I do think he just looked so good from a footballing perspective that was maybe what made us lean there. Would you get Bruno and Ronaldo on free hit? Yeah, if I was free hitting, which I probably still am free hitting, it would be Ronaldo and Bruno. I've got a video coming out tomorrow or Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe if you're new. There will be a free hit draft coming out. I'm going to build a proper free hit draft, and then I'm going to build like an alternate free hit draft with maybe like slightly different players to choose from. Doherty out for the rest of the season. That's football. Is he? I haven't seen that. Is that's football an account, or are you just saying that is football? Is that a statement? It is an account. Oh, that is breaking news, isn't it? Yeah. Right, let me quickly see this out. That is very interesting. Okay, Doherty's out for the season, guys. I'll copy the tweet him. Interesting. There you go. Doherty out for the season. That changes things. I don't know that it does change that much for me. I'm wildcarding 34 anyway. I wouldn't have wildcarded him in anyway. Outside of that, for free hit 33, I wouldn't have him. If I make transfers, I can bench him anyway. Like I've got Van Dijk, I've got Cody and Rafinha I could take out. Let me show you what we'll do actually. Is Saint Maximan still relevant? Why is everyone talking about Wood? I don't like him. Yeah, so if you watch my Watch my video tomorrow, Brian, on the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. I linked it earlier in the chat. If you just type in Fantasy Football Fix on YouTube, I'm going to compare St. Maximan and Chris Wood. I actually still prefer St. Max. Right. That one and that one. Right. Not Game Week 37. What we actually want to do. Right, so Doherty's out, right? So Doherty's out for that. But like I said, I'm wildcarding 34. So this is just 33 because I'm wildcarding 34. If I don't free hit, the Doherty news doesn't change me too much. I'm going to take out... I'm going to take out Van Dijk. Let's say it's Tellez. It could be Target. It'll be Target or Tellez probably. I'm going to bring in a double game week player there. And then I'm taking out Rafinha for probably Barnes or Maddison, depending on who plays less minutes in the Europa Conference League. Then that's it. Team doesn't change too much. Right, if I don't free hit. It just means that I've got one less sub. I've only got Doherty rather than having Gordon. I've only got Gordon rather than having Gordon and Doherty. So that doesn't change my team too much. That might not help you. Your team might be a bit screwed now after that news. And then, yeah, I just won't have him on my 34 wildcard. This was the 34 wildcard we built, by the way, for those that joined late. Is it? That the built? That doesn't seem right. Why have I got 1.6 million in the bank? I think that's a glitch. This is the team we built, essentially. So this was wildcard 34 with bench boost 36 or 37 in mind, just to demonstrate that you don't need a free hit for 36 or 37 if you've got a wildcard. The other thing that we were mentioning was potentially going for Kulusevski over Son here. So you might think the team's a bit weak. It's basically, again, it's those 6 players: Trent, James, Cancelo, Son, De Bruyne, Salah. Those 6 are elite. Outside of that, it's a bit weak. So we said potentially what you could do is, rather than going for Salah, De Bruyne, and Son, is you can either downgrade Son to Kulusevski, or you can downgrade De Bruyne to Foden, because Foden is nailed and putting up very good underlying stats. If you do that, you suddenly got like 5 million extra to play with. And at this stage, you can upgrade Cucho potentially to Richarlison, right? You could potentially upgrade Ramsey to Barnes or Coutinho, right? You've got so many different options there. It'd probably be Maddison, actually, I'd go for. Right. And then if you then go ahead to game week 36 and 37, the team looks even better, right? Again, assuming Manchester City have a double, what your team would look like for game week 36 is probably like that, right? Again, assuming that City have the double in 36. And then what I would probably do, because I'd have a little bit of money to play with, is I might potentially be looking at Mateta out for a double game week player, right? Depends. If one of the Leicester strikers are looking like they're playing a lot of minutes and I potentially have a spare spot there. At the moment, I've obviously got 3 Leicester already. It could be that I potentially switch Mateta out for someone else. Right, I don't know who at this stage who I might go for. Maybe a cheeky punt on Timo Werner, you know? Just cheeky punt on Timo Werner. Don't mind me. Like, there are options. And then, obviously, if you switch then forward to game week 37, the team looks fine again. Like, again, I'm not going to go back through this. You can watch the stream previously. But essentially, you can get through perfectly easily game week 36 and 37 by not using a free hit. This is the news that Doherty's out from Alistair Gold. Could Lookman be a good option? I don't think Lookman's a good option. I think the only reason Lookman played today is because Barnes was benched. I think in their starting 11, Lookman doesn't start. Obviously, he might start one or both because of rotation. It largely depends if Leicester get through against PSV, I think. Is Emerson Royale now? Yeah, he probably is, to be honest. I guess they could... Is Tanganga fit? He should be fairly nailed, but he's just so bad. I don't even think you want him even if he is nailed. Have you considered Ward-Prowse for game week 33? Not particularly. His underlying statistics aren't fantastic. Will there be a Wildcard 34 guide video next week? There will absolutely be an entire video dedicated to Wildcard 34, yes. I will be doing... Oh, Tanganga's out for the season. Yeah, I haven't really been following Spurs. That's fine. Yeah, so Yeah, I suppose he's nailed then. I can't think of anyone else that could play it right back. Who have they got? Let's have a look on the site. Who have Spurs got for a defender? I think that's it, isn't it, really? It must be Emerson Royale. I guess they could push one of Rodon, Romero, Sanchez into right back. It's not ideal, though. I guess they could play Sessegnon at right back. Yeah, I'd say Emerson Royale's nailed. Like, you got to think that before Doherty came in for Conte, Emerson Royale was fit enough to play a lot of football. Like, he's absolutely fine. So, yeah, I think Emerson Royale's fairly nailed, which isn't good news for Spurs. That's actually very bad news for Spurs from an attacking and defensive perspective. He's rubbish. He really is. Is Kyle Walker nailed? I think he's fairly nailed, yeah. I don't think he'll play every single game, but I'd expect him to play sort of 80-90% of the minutes. Cool. We'll go for about another 5-10 minutes, guys. If you have any other sort of things to chat about, do let me know. 25 million well spent by Nuno on Emerson Royale. It's 25 mil. Wowzer. He's physically all right. Even defensively, he's not. It's just so bad on the ball. It reminds me a bit of Wan-Bissaka, but he's probably actually better than Wan-Bissaka, which is shocking because we spent about 50 mil on Wan-Bissaka. So I think the consensus from this stream of what you guys are saying, from what I've convinced I think I'm still free hitting 33 at the moment. How do you compare players on Fantasy Football Fix? You go into the player heat maps section. So if you go onto the statistics, then player heat maps. You can also compare them on the Opta Stats sandbox if you want to. Genuinely don't know any good Doherty replacements that double in 36 and possibly 33. These are the teams that double in 36. I've got to add this graphic at the ready. These are the teams that double in 36. So out of these are the teams that double in 33. Arsenal, Leicester. Arsenal, Leicester, right? Is that it? I'm sure there was another team. Maybe not. Arsenal and Leicester. So you could potentially go for like a Cedric. If you don't think Tomiyasu is going to fit, you could go for Ben White, Gabriel, Justin, Amati, Evans. Yeah, there's not that many good options, is there? Would you transfer out Saka for Maddison even though Saka has a double himself? No, I wouldn't personally. What Leicester or Newcastle assets are priority for free at 33? I think Target and Barnes. It really depends on that Europa Conference League game for Leicester, to be honest. Whoever plays the least minutes there and whoever looks the best, potentially. I think Maddison's only going to play one of the games in game week 33. I've just got a feeling. So Barnes might be the one. Have you considered bench boost 33? It just doesn't work for my team particularly. I've got Cody, Rafinha, and Doherty now not playing. I've got Gordon and Van Dijk. It's not a very good bench boost for me. And that's assuming that the likes of James plays. I think I would be forcing it in a week. Like for some people, absolutely bench boost 33 looks really good. Which players are dropping in price tonight? I think let's look at that. These were the players that were changing. There's no one really. Let me update it just in case. I'll refresh the page. Yeah, there's no one really. Dropping apparently tonight so far at Fornals, Me, Zinchenko, rising in price, Son and Laporte. Oh, my camera. Stop lagging out just before the end as well. Yeah, so basically there's not a lot of price changes at all. Tomorrow there could be a few notable ones. Tony looks like he could be going tomorrow. Even tomorrow, though, that's it. I don't think there's going to be a lot of price changes across the next week, not at least across the next few days, which is great because it gives those of us that haven't actually activated the free hit already yet, but potentially might want to activate the free hit, it gives us a bit longer to think about whether we really want to play the free hit. And I'm glad about that because I'm not ready to make that decision quite yet, I don't think. I want to put Pogba in, but not convinced he'll start. I don't know. It depends how bad Fred's injury was. If Fred's injury is pretty bad, I'd expect him to start. Regardless, he might start anyway. If I had to guess, I would guess that Pogba does start against Norwich. But we'll have to wait for Rangnick's press conference. To be honest, the fact that Fred's injured, he's probably going to play in the pivot. I mean, we could potentially play with 2 number 8s, but as a result, I'm not necessarily sure he's the best option anyway, because of the positions he's likely to play. Right. Let's try and get the camera back up. The joys of OBS and my camera continues. Hello, there I am. Cool. Any final thoughts or anything? Do let me know. Yeah, Doherty out for the season. We did discuss that. Obviously not ideal for a lot of people. Doesn't actually affect me at all, really. Like, I'll probably free hit this week, and if I don't free hit, I'll make 2 transfers anyway, and it will be Rafinha and Van Dijk leaving, so Doherty would have been on the bench anyway, probably. So, yeah, no massive influence on my team, to be honest. FPL Dreamer, you still free hit 33. I've changed mine to free hit 37, wildcard 34, bench boost 36. If you watch this stream later, now, whenever you want, we have a whole sort of 30-minute segment. I'll try and add the timestamps afterwards. There's a whole 30-minute segment on wildcards free hit 36, 37 versus free hit 33. We have a whole massive chat about that. Mason Mount in. Yeah, I do think Mason Mount could be a good shout on the wildcard for sure. Thoughts on captaincy for game week 39? Pig looks good, potentially. Outside of that, don't know. Plonker looked absolutely class at the South training session. Thoughts on KDB/Foden and Maddison for Bruno and Rafinha for a -4. Bought Bruno in this week and captained him. Are you saying you're going to sell Bruno before the double game week? I don't like that, Alex. I wouldn't sell Bruno before the double game week. Whatever you think of Manchester United, Bruno and Ronaldo still have pretty good underlying data, and I just wouldn't sell a player potentially on penalties with good underlying data before Norwich and an extra fixture against Liverpool. Best budget midfielders and forwards for double game week 33. That'll all be discussed in the game week 33 free hit video tomorrow or Tuesday. It will probably be tomorrow that the video go out. Oh. Oh, you're a Manchester United fan and you're fed up. Don't let your own club bias affect your decisions. I wouldn't sell Bruno. I do really like KDB, Foden, and Maddison. I think all of those are great options, but probably not at the expense of Bruno. You might be able to squeeze Foden or Maddison in another way potentially. Loving the Doherty news. Even though I own him, I can still go back to plan A. Yeah. I think for a lot of people, sometimes a forced injury actually, I wouldn't say is a good thing because we don't want to use but sometimes it sort of spices things up. Like, for example, if your defense is pretty set and you've wanted another defender, it might be that you think, actually, Doherty out's a blessing. Now I can bring in Tellez. Now I can bring in Target. Now I can bring in all of these different players here. Sometimes, like, if, for example, I wouldn't want an injury to happen. If Kane got injured, that would spice up my team a bit. I'd go, wow, I've got some budget to work with now. And I've got other, so I don't necessarily mind injuries sometimes. So it might work well for a couple of you. Should I start Havertz or Weghorst this game week? It's got to be Weghorst. It's got to be. Havertz is looking excellent at the moment, but Arsenal aren't pushovers. Yes, they look slightly poorer without Partey in the team. I think you've still got to start Weghorst. He's still on penalties as far as we know, and they're 2 decent fixtures. What is your favourite flavour of crisp? It's probably salt and vinegar. A bit boring like that. Outside of that, anything smoky bacon's good. Frazzles. Just Walker's smoky bacon. Wheat crunchy smoky bacon. What's your favorite flavor of crisps? Everyone in the chat. Do you know what? Let's do 10 minutes of non-FPL questions if you want to. If you want to leave, by the way, please do drop a like on your way out. Please pass on my stream to other people. Please subscribe. Please watch future videos. If people want to ask non-FPL questions for 10 minutes, they can feel free to. I'll still answer FPL questions, but if you want to get slightly funkier with your questions, go for it. I just saw your tweet, Doherty out for the season. Yeah. Big news. It didn't look good, to be fair. It didn't look good. What if Ronaldo's rested for the Norwich game? True Fandeli, you could be right. He could be either banned, potentially, for what happened with that incident with the fan, or he could potentially just be rested anyway. Like I said, after Norwich, in the space of 5 or 6 days, we have Liverpool and Arsenal. They're two huge games. We could hopefully beat Norwich without Ronaldo anyway, so it could be that he's going to be rested. I don't know. I think if I'm on a free hit, I'll probably captain Bruno just for safety. What is your favourite animal sound? What a fantastic question. What's my favourite animal sound? I'm going to go for a quack. For a quack quack. For a duck. What a strange question to answer on an FPL stream. Do you trade stocks, crypto? I dabble with crypto. I trade stocks, yeah. Stocks and shares. Index funds, if anyone's interested. S&P 500. FTSE World 100. Yeah. Pretty much just index funds, to be honest. I've got an individual tradings account. Funnily enough, I can't beat the market. So I don't particularly trade individual stocks. It's mainly index funds. Pork scratchings for me. Pork scratchings is a decent shout. I don't have them very often, to be fair. I'm doing a bit of a health kick at the moment, so eating very, very healthily at the moment. Rank these 3 from best to worst. Wan-Bissaka, Emerson Royale, and Tavares. God, that is a shocking 3 fullbacks. Wan-Bissaka, Emerson Royale, and Tavares. Wow. Oh, God, they're so bad, all of them. They're so bad, John. I would say that the best of the 3 there's probably Wan-Bissaka, then Emerson Royale, then Tavares. Probably the order that you've listed them in, just about. When will you come to Cyprus? Whenever you have me, Pink Pony. When are you going to let me stay? No, I'm going to travel the world very soon, to be honest. I've been saving my money well. I've been investing my money well. I've been studying since the age of, like, whenever we start studying, like 6 or 7. I'm 25 now. I've been studying my whole life. I need a bit of a break. So the plan is potentially to go a bit of traveling after the PhD. And Cyprus can be on my list. If you're telling me it's a place to go to. Are you into films at all? I am into films. Let me know in the comment. Let me know in the chat. What's your favourite film? What's your favourite film? My favourite film is anything Christopher Nolan, to be honest. Probably is a tie between Interstellar and Inception. Interstellar is just unbelievable. The soundtrack, I was listening to the soundtrack again, and to be honest, The Prestige is a close, like, my top 3 films are probably The Prestige, Interstellar, and Inception. They're just so good. But anything Christopher Nolan does is absolutely brilliant. I'm actually doing the Marvel Comic Universe, like a marathon. Let me get on the list. So I'm going through all of the Marvel films. I'm doing it in chronological order. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I'm doing it in chronological order just because I haven't seen all of them, and I think for storyline purposes, it actually works out quite well. So I've seen Captain America, the First Avenger, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2, Thor, Marvel's The Avenger, Iron Man 3, Thor The Dark World, which is probably the worst one that I've seen so far, Captain America The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Captain America Civil War, Black Widow. So I just finished Black Widow, and I'm now on to Spider-Man Homecoming. And I haven't actually seen any of the Spider-Mans with Tom Holland. So I've still got all of those Spider-Mans to watch. I know Tom Holland's absolutely fantastic. Obviously, he was in the Avengers that I just watched, Civil War. He was in Civil War, to be fair. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm watching all of the MCU films. I went round the world on my own when I was 18. You should go to New Zealand, an awesome country. That's super cool, Marcus. I really like that. I'm basically planning on, I'm going to do a year abroad, but I'm not going to travel the world. Like, I don't want to go and do touristy things. What I want to do is I want to pick 4 countries, and I want to live in each of those countries for 3 months. So I want to do 4 countries, 3 months in each, a year abroad. And you can do like Airbnb. It's actually really cheap. So some of the places I want to go to, Dubai really interests me. I know it's not for everyone. Dubai, potentially Thailand, Japan is another one that I'm potentially interested in. Let me know in the comments if there are any places that you've been. Like I said, I don't mind places that are good for like traveling, but for me, I want places that I can, like, that would be nice to live. Like, I want to live. And I would probably be going out solo and inviting friends to stay with me if they want to fly out. But for the bulk, I'll be going solo. I'll be making FPL videos. I'll be still doing YouTube. So I still need to work when I'm out there. Like I said, it's an opportunity to sort of experience the world. So I'll probably travel solo, and then maybe invite some friends out. If there are any of you guys that are in different countries, love to meet up as well. I want to sort of just experience the world. I've not really traveled that much, to be honest. Visit us in Mauritius, for sure. There is, we've got a couple of members in Mauritius as well. Mauritius is somewhere I definitely want to go. American Psycho is my favourite film. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I've watched American Psycho. Probably only once, actually, I think. Definitely sticks with you, though, right? Toy Story 2 has been since a child. You should make a letterboxed account to keep track and ratings. Is that like a Goodreads for films? I've got one for books. I've got an account where I rank and rate books. I read a hell of a lot. Hopefully that comes across. But yeah, I do a lot of reading. So I can't believe you're 25. You look 45, to be frank. Yeah, I don't look 25. Cross between the glasses and the bald head. Also, I'm a lecturer. Then I've got my own YouTube channel. I've written a book. Yeah. I think both in look and the way I speak, I probably don't come across as 25 years old. Hopefully it's a compliment and not just you're bald. You look 45. What is your favourite flag? I played a really good game the other day. It was guessing loads of flags. I can't remember. There's so many beautiful flags out there. It's a good question, though. I'll have a think about it. Yeah, Japan, like the quality of life in Japan is so high. I lived in Thailand for 4 years, loved every second of it. I like that, Max. That's the confirmation bias I need, because Thailand's probably second on my list of ones that I definitely want to visit. I fruit picked in rural Australia for a month. That was a real eye-opener. Cool. You might have to DM me about this trip, Marcus. It sounds unbelievable. Sounds unbelievable. Klopp versus Guardiola. Who is the master? Great question. So I actually have written a couple of articles on this. I'll try and find them at some point. So for my master's degree, I studied sports psychology for my master's degree, and we looked a little bit at Premier League managers and their leadership styles. And Klopp is, from a psychological perspective, Klopp is about as good as you can get. He's what we call if you've studied sports psychology, he's what we call a transformational leader. So Klopp is the master from a psychological perspective, but Guardiola is a real tactician, isn't he? Come to Sweden, bring warm clothes. Yeah, I've never been to Sweden. I've been to Finland 3 times. So I've been to Finland quite a few times. I'm not saying it's completely the same, but I'd love to go to Sweden. I've actually got quite a few Swedish FPL friends, other Swedish FPL managers. How do you look like with hair? I was going to try and get a picture up. I won't get a picture up on stream. I'd never had a lot of hair, to be fair. It was very thin. It was sort of like a quiff. It like went over to the side and it was very thin. It didn't look good. I look better bald. I don't look great bald, but I look better bald. Mumbai is a good place to explore. Yeah, I really want to go to India because apart from the UK, most of my good friends like online and stuff are from India. Just such nice people. Everyone I speak to from India is so nice. Have you played Flagdoor? It's like Wordle, but for flags. No, but I'll play that tonight now that you've said that. Doherty out for the season. Yep, we did see that. If you're just tuning in to the stream, you haven't seen Matt Doherty confirmed out for the season. I think it was ligament damage in the knee. What borough do you reside in London? I don't live in London, actually. I'm from Essex, if my accent didn't give that away already. So I grew up in Essex. And then after that, I've sort of moved around to do my degree. So I lived in Wales, I lived in London. I'm currently in Nottingham. So I'm doing my PhD and lecturing in Nottingham. So I live alone in Nottingham in a studio, which is quite nice to be fair. Recording videos, doing live streams and stuff. I'm completely in like a really nice studio. It allows me complete flexibility, to be honest. So I quite like it. Can we tweet you our teams? I'd love to say yes, but obviously you can imagine how many teams I get tweeted. What I do then is basically, if you want to become a member of the channel, you can tweet me your team whenever you want to. So, yeah. I hate to say that because it's like, give me money and I'll look at your team. But that is the only way I can do it, just because otherwise it's just a ridiculous amount. So I will copy the tweet. I'll copy the link across. You can basically either become a member or you can become a patron. It's completely up to you. They do exactly the same things. I'll link both of them now for you. Again, don't feel like you have to. If you want to support the channel or you want to get personalized feedback, you can. Right, so that's to become a member. All right, that's the link to become a member. If you want to become a patron, this is the link. And again, it's exactly the same thing. You need to join the one where it's £5 per month. It's like the tier one. It will be clear in the information. Again, I know I don't expect everyone to do that, but yeah. PhD, never heard of it. A PhD is another word for like a doctorate. So a PhD is after your bachelor's and after your master's, you go on to do a PhD. And essentially you research a very sort of specific area of something. So for my PhD, I'm going to bore you a little bit. This is when the viewers start coming down. I'm doing a PhD in sports psychology, and I'm looking at the role of virtual reality in skill acquisition. So what we're essentially doing is using virtual reality headsets to see if we can improve the way people learn skills. So, yeah. So my focus is on virtual reality in sport. So we're basically working with Premier League elite football clubs and seeing if they, number one, want to use virtual reality, and if they do, how do they plan on utilizing that? So that's what my PhD is in. So I lecture and I study at the same time. So I'm a student and staff. It's a bit of a weird position to be in. What's your Wordle record like? It's actually pretty decent. I've got one wrong out of like 130, and I missed a day on my birthday. But outside of that, it's fairly consistent, to be honest. Do you allow people to come to Nottingham and meet you? It'll be my pleasure. Yeah, sure. If anyone wants to meet up in Nottingham, I'm down. We've had actually a couple of Nottingham meetups for people that live in Nottingham. But if anyone's ever in Nottingham, just drop me a DM. I'm obviously not always free, but I'm always up for having a coffee or a beer or whatever. I left the Barca game only to come back and the stream's still going. The stream is still going. I was planning on doing about an hour. Here we are 2 hours and 5 minutes later. I could do a mega... I'm wondering... I might do like a charity stream to end the season. I don't think I could do 24 hours, but I'm wondering if I did like a 12-hour live stream for charity. Would anyone be down for that? Would anyone be down for tuning in for the whole 12 hours? Could you listen to Raptor and his monotone voice for 12 hours? I might be tempted to try something like that because I can just talk for ages. Like I said, my day job is to be a lecturer. I've got a YouTube channel. I can just sort of chat over and over again for a long time. So maybe we'll do a charity live stream at the end of the season. I'd like that. Basically everyone that does a super chat, everyone that becomes a member, all of the AdSense, sponsorship, all of that, I'll donate to charity. You don't sound like a Manchester United fan. Was shocked when I knew. Most are boaster and you're just genuinely kind. Thank you. I'm not like most Manchester United fans, to be honest. I'm very realistic. I'm not particularly biased either. When people claim that I'm biased, I'm actually probably the opposite. I realise we're not very good. Are you married? I'm not married, no. I was engaged. Broke up with my fiance about 6 months ago now. No, I'm very, very much single at the moment. Very much. Good, to be fair, like sometimes you need it in your life. And I'm in a good place with that. That sounds class. So are you famous then? No, I'm not famous at all. Not at all. What's your favourite playing position in football? I used to play left wing when I played back in the day. It was left wing. Stream playing FIFA. So I have thought about creating a gaming channel on Twitch and just streaming FIFA. I don't know what the... So I don't know how much people would want that, to be honest. if people would be interested in some sort of Twitch channel where I streamed FIFA and Call of Duty, and I play Rocket League quite a lot with my my sister and my brother-in-law, so I could stream a bit of Rocket League. The issue is that I do have a PhD in lecturing to do, and the amount of time I spent on FPL YouTube is probably too much. Hello, Raptor. Hello, FPL Escapades. KDB versus Salah, both. If you're talking about for 33, KDB. How to get rid of Maguire? Dude called a handball on his own team. What is wrong with him? Oh, I don't know. We're not going to get rid of him anytime soon. The only thing that I would say regarding Maguire is that I think Ten Hag will actually turn him into a very, very good centre-back. Because Maguire has been okay in the past. And Ten Hag really requires the centre-backs to be pretty good on the ball. And Varane and Lindelof just are a bit naff on the ball. I think Maguire's probably our best ball-playing centre-back, which is worrying. But I think Ten Hag might actually manage to get something out of Maguire. So hopefully. You're like most Manchester United fans, just you aren't from Manchester. It's outrageous, John. Get out the stream. What's your politics? I'm not going to discuss politics here. Definitely not right-wing, is what I'll say. Think you may need something going on in the background for a 12-hour stream. Yeah, it wouldn't just be this. Yeah, it'd be boring as crap, wouldn't it? There's no way I'll just stream like this for 12 hours. I'd probably get some guests on. I know FPL Focal would be down to do a couple of hours with me. Yeah, I could probably try and get a couple of people. I could get Andy on. I'm sure Andy would do an hour. Maybe we'll do that. I'd have to time it so that it works for everyone, but maybe we'll get some Mark Southerns as... I could probably get a few people on the stream. Maybe we'll do a few giveaways and stuff. I'll have to try and think about the best way to set that up, but I'd like to do something to sort of give back, for sure. What rank are you in Rocket League? We won a gold tournament in Season 5. We're currently gold. No, it's not very good, essentially. I mean, not bad. We're not platinum or above, though. Gold in Rocket League at the moment. I'll be honest, I'm pretty crap at Rocket League. They're very good, and they sort of carry me. Career mode Twitch FIFA charity stream 24 hours is more fun. That does sound very fun. But I don't know how many of the FPL community would want to watch FIFA. I could play career mode for like 48 hours without sleeping, but maybe we'll make a career... Yeah, maybe we'll do something like that. I'll have a little think. Best films are the Kingsman trilogy. I've not watched them, John, no. Lose the beard to show your real age. Do that for charity. I haven't shaved my beard, completely shaved my beard, in about 6 years. 6-7 years. Long time. Hi, mate. Is there a good psychology book for beginners that you would recommend? I don't read very often, so nothing too heavy, lol. Oh, good question. I wouldn't recommend just reading a psychology book because it's going to be very sort of like textbook heavy. What I would do is find an area of psychology that interests you and drop me a DM and I'll recommend a book for you. I don't really like general psychology books. They're just very like plain and boring. But if you sort of have an area that you're interested in, I've read most of the psychology books out there. Johan says, Lindelof's kind of good with the ball. Lindelof's not bad with the ball most of the time, but he makes some silly errors, and sometimes he gets overconfident with it and dilly-dallies on the ball, and it doesn't look comfortable to me, to be honest. I'll be ready for any stream. Can't wait. I appreciate that, Waleed. Thank you very much. How far do you think England can progress in the World Cup? I think it'll be quarters or semis. I can't see us getting all the way again. We had a very lucky draw. Not for the first time. If we get a good draw, we could make it. We could win it. Of course we can. We're good enough, but for those of you who don't know, Ross won't big himself up, but he's valued at 14.5 million for the North-South game. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm not bad. Cheers, Ross. Gold content as always. Look forward to your videos this week. Thanks for being in the chat the whole time, Marcus. I appreciate it, mate. Have a good evening. We should call you the Professor in FPL. Who else agrees? Maybe I should change the name, FPL Professor. No, I'll stick to Raptor, but yeah, I'll stick to Raptor. But I do like FPL Professor. That's a cool nickname. I just joined the stream. Is free at 33 still worth it? We didn't get much closer. I think so for me. If you go back, this will go up as a video as well. Obviously, in a few hours, it'll be live as sort of a video. I'm going to try and add some timestamps in because it's going to end up being a really long video. So I'll add some timestamps in But we discussed it in quite a lot of detail. So hopefully you find some time. Listen to it like a podcast later on in the week. Who's getting top four? Well, it's going to be City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and then probably Tottenham. I'd go for at the moment. I did think it was Arsenal quite easily, but Tottenham look really good. You'd surely have to do something other than talking about FPL during a 24-hour stream anyway. Yeah, it wouldn't be 24 hours. I don't think I could do 24. It'd be probably 12-hour stream. Yeah, it would probably be maybe interviewing some guests. I'd like to get Andy on, have a chat with Andy, get Az on, have a chat with, like, maybe interview a few guests from a psychological perspective, maybe have a couple of FIFA games against someone, that sort of thing. Like, yeah, we'd do something a bit interesting. Is Varane really much worse than Maguire on the ball? He's really not been that great since coming to us. I just haven't been that impressed with Varane, I'll be honest. What's up, Raptors? Good evening, Robert. We're going to end the stream soonish. I said that about 45 minutes ago, to be fair. Lacazette replacements. If it's just for this week, I don't mind Wood and St. Maximin, but Prof Raptor. Yeah, maybe Professor Raptor. Then I get both. I like that. Favourite all-time FPL asset? Great question. I mean, Lord Lundstrom's got to be up there in more recent times. Outside of that, I think I started playing FPL when Van Persie was having his final season, but I was quite young then, and that was on my other account. So, I'll go for Lundstrom, to be honest, because I owned him for most of that season. To be fair, I love a budget enabler much more than I do just owning a premium player that scores lots of points for me. FPL Professor fits you better, mate. You're probably the only YouTuber with a PhD here. We've not got the PhD yet, but yeah, potentially could be a good option. If you have to choose between number one overall in just one game week or win the FPL Cup, what will you choose? I don't really care about the FPL Cup, so I'll probably go number one in a game week. What's the story behind FPL Raptor? Basically, I'm a Toronto Raptors fan, if you watch the NBA. So it came from that. Basically, when I decided to join the FPL community, it was about almost 2 years ago now. It was in June 2020. So I joined FPL Twitter almost 2 years ago. That evening, I'd been watching a lot of the NBA highlights. I'd been getting quite into the NBA that season. I think that was the season after Kawhi scored. I can't remember when it was, actually, to be honest. Anyway, so it was June 2020, and I'd been watching a lot of the Raptors, been getting into the NBA, and I thought FPL Raptors are a pretty decent one. I wanted a name that you could call me. Again, this is nothing against like Let's Talk FPL, but you can't call Andy Let's Talk FPL. It's a channel name, whereas you can call me Raptor if you don't want to call me Ross. So I quite like that. What to do with Doherty now that he's out for the season? Sell him. Does largely depend on your chip strategy, though. And wildcarding in 34, do you think Wood is a good one-week punt on free? Yeah, I don't mind Wood. I think I prefer St. Maximin, to be honest, though. FPL Pro Clubs could be class. It could, to be fair. It could, absolutely. Might have to set something up. I know a few FPL managers play Pro Clubs. Why do you think Ten Hag is most likely to improve Maguire rather than improve other centre-backs like Lindelof and Varane? I don't think he's likely to improve Maguire more so, but I think Maguire is naturally very good on the ball. I just don't know what's happened to him this season. But if you look at Maguire at Leicester and you look at Maguire for England, Maguire's best attribute is that he's very comfortable on the ball and he can drive forward with it. I don't know what's happened to him this season, but I'm hoping that he'll start to instill some of that back into Maguire. Only catching the stream now, going to watch it back in the morning on the way to work. Have a good week ahead, Ross. Thank you very much, Martin. Yeah, by all means, watch it back. That's the whole point of streaming early, that you can watch it back. You look like a mini Bateson. That's outrageous. I don't like a mini Bateson. I do a little bit, to be fair. Dr. Raptor, when's the PhD complete? I've still got 3 years left. It's a part-time PhD because I'm lecturing alongside it. So I spend a lot of my time teaching as well as studying. Do you play fantasy NBA? I don't, to be honest. I haven't watched barely any NBA this year. I've just struggled with time, and the times that the games are on, I've been really struggling. How many points did you score this week? I scored 59 minus 4, so it was 55 net. It wasn't a very good week for me. If you could create one new rule in FPL, what would it be? I'd get rid of captaincy, or I'd put vice captaincy at 1.5. I know that causes a massive stir in FPL. I don't think there's that much skill to captaincy. And I say that as someone last season, I nailed every captaincy decision. And this season I've struggled a little bit, but I just think that there shouldn't be that much of your week hinging on a decision where it's basically 50-50. I just don't like that for me. If you make your vice captain 1.5 times, rather than it just being nothing, that means that if you basically choose your two favourite options, or if you just bin off captaincy, the other reason I want to bin off captaincy is that I'm fed up of players being above 100% effective ownership. Like, you can own a player and them scoring can result in you losing rank. Like, that doesn't make sense to me in a game. Why is there a game where if I own that player and they perform well, I am punished? I don't like that particularly. So I would do something with captaincy. Like I said, I know like I said this before in a video and everyone went crazy that we should get rid of captaincy. Don't need to get rid of captaincy then, but try and change the vice captaincy chip to make it just slightly more interesting. And to make less of, like, your entire game week revolves around captaincy. If you captain Son, you get a green arrow. If you didn't captain Son, you don't get a green arrow. And for me, that's just a bit too much. Like, there are so many other decisions in FPL every week. There's like 15, 20 decisions to be made in FPL. I'm not entirely convinced that there should be that much riding on that one decision. You look like Daniel Radcliffe. Maybe. A bald Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah, his legendary shot motivated you. Great day, but he took a dip now. Yeah. It was a legendary day, but yeah, it's what happened when you leave the Raptors. You know. Are United assets worth it? Potentially for 33, but outside of that, probably not. What other FPL creators are you following? A lot, to be fair. Andy Let's Talk FPL is probably my number one. He knows this. I've spoken to him about it before. Andy's a massive inspiration for me. I think he's content's quality. I watch a lot of FPL focal stuff. Oscar's a good friend. I've met Oscar a few times. Love what he does. Nice and simple, nice and effective. Outside that, FPL Harry, I watch a little bit of. And then with respect to podcast, the main three for me, I don't catch all of them, to be honest, but it would be the FPL Wire and Black Box are the main two that I follow. And then it's Who Got the Assist. Tom is absolutely fantastic, I think. And Planet FPL as well, James. Normally the strategy pods, because I can't keep up. They churn out so much content. So I keep up to date with a lot of content. I would say that Let's Talk FPL Andy's probably the main one for me. Much like most people, I'm a bit of an Andy fanboy. Why is everyone talking about wildcarding in 34 and not 35? Just think there's not much difference between 34 and 35, the team that you'd want, and you can just get that team a little bit earlier. And you just get one extra week. I agree about captaincy. There's decisions that are 50-50, like Havertz instead of Salah or Son instead of Kane. I've got every 50-50 captaincy decision wrong this year. And like I said, that's not the reason that I'm saying we should bin off captaincy. I said the same last year. And like I said, last year I was nailing the captaincy. I don't think there should be that much riding on captaincy. But yeah, it's much worse when you lose out on all those decisions. Do you still wish you played professional football? No, I'm pretty happy that I quit. I'm too injury prone. I probably wouldn't have made it anyway. I think we should be able to change our subs during the game week. See, I don't, Joel, interestingly. The reason I say that is that the FPL already requires a lot of maintenance for me. I know you only have to change your team once a week, but unless you're very hardcore, deadlines are easy to forget. It can be easy to fall behind the more hardcore managers. I think if you started making it where you could switch subs around mid-game week, I think you'd lose 4 or 5 million managers. I think that this is what they do in Sky and UCL games, and they're just not as popular. I think what is fantastic about FPL is the simplicity of it. It's such a simple game, and I think if you start making it any more complicated, I think you're going to start to struggle, to be honest, like with the casuals. What's your workout program like? I go to the gym 6 times a week, and it's just a push-pull legs split times 2. So PPL, push, pull, legs, break, push, pull, legs, break, push, pull, legs, break, like that. And then because I'm doing push and pull twice a week, each of them, for one push workout, I'll focus more so on like the delts, and then the other one I'll focus on the chest. And then for the pull, one will focus on the lats, and then the other one will focus on sort of rhomboids, traps, rear delts. If you don't work out, sorry for that. But yeah, PPL split. No price changes mid-game week, for that matter. Maybe no price changes at all. I think you need price changes in the game, to be honest, but it'd be nice to get a bit of transparency as to when they're going to occur and why they're occurring, because we just basically guess based on the algorithm that Fantasy Football Fixed and FPL Statistics have set up. But yeah, I agree that there could be some changes made to the price changes for sure. I'd like to see something done. Do you think the next season more players should be shifted to forwards in FPL to adapt with how the game is changing with fewer strikers in real life? The issue you've got is that if you start making wingers forwards, you're going to encounter the same issue where all of the good players are now forwards. Because if you start making Salah, Foden, Sterling, Mane, all of these guys, Jota, if you make all of those forwards, there's going to be no one left in the midfield. You'll have the likes of, like Maddison. But I'm looking like Kulusevski, Saka, Zaha, Gordon. They'd all be forward. So where do you draw the line? It's very difficult to try and... I don't know. Unless they make a whole new position called wingers, but then that starts to get a bit overcomplicated as well. I don't know what they do, to be honest. Maybe they start boosting strikers to get more points for goals and assists. Or maybe they just make all of the strikers cheaper. I don't know. They need to do something next year. But I don't know that that's necessarily the answer. PPL or bro split. It's a bit of a mixture, but it's PPL. It's PPL split. Is Doherty out for the season? Yeah, he is. If you go over to my Twitter, I retweeted that. Do you watch F1? I don't watch F1, unfortunately. I was going to try and get into it this season. I'm just such a busy guy. I work like 12 to 14-hour days. If you take into account lecturing, PhD, and creating YouTube content, and making the graphics, doing the research, editing, I work like 100 hours a week. So and I then go to the gym 6 times a week, cook my own dinner, do my own shopping. I don't have the time to have any other hobbies at the moment. Yeah, you could have central forwards. So Havertz or Jota maybe forwards. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. It's a good question. It could just be that the forwards start performing well. If you get like Haaland in the Premier League and maybe like the likes of Watkins, Richarlison, Cowell start performing well next year, it could be that all of a sudden we're saying, do you know what, the forwards are now great value. Should you free hit in 33 if you have 6 to 7 doublers in your normal team? Depends who those 6 to 7 doublers are, Jack, but that sounds like you're in a decent position. Do you play Euro Fantasy? I played Euro Fantasy. I don't play UCL Fantasy. I can't wait for the World Cup game. Next season, when the World Cup's on in the winter, we're going to do World Cup content. I'm excited for that. World Cup fantasy content on this channel. Maybe they can give points for interceptions, tackles to CDMs, CMs. They could do, but then again, you're overcomplicating the game. I love the simplicity of FPL, and I think that's what makes it so fantastic, is that you get points for assists, you get points for goals, you get points for clean sheets, and then there's a few bonus points. It's so simple. Like, you're not having to track all of it. Like, it would make for interesting content. I could start to cover things like interceptions and tackles, but I feel like it might start to overcomplicate the game a little bit. Like, Sky do exactly that. It's one of the reasons I don't really get on board with Sky. I can't be bothered to track all of that data. I want to know if my players like to score or assist, they're a good asset. If they're not, then they're not a good asset. I quite like the simplicity. Keep the positions mainly as they are and make it 6 midfielders, 2 forwards, perhaps. That's a decent option, Connor. Although that's a bit weird. Like, I think the reason they've made it 5 midfielders is because you can play with 5 midfielders. I've never seen a 3-6-1 or just a 4-6. I don't think that would work. I like the creativity, though. Do you think there should be an extra chip of some kind? I quite like the all-out... so there's I think it's like Norwegian fantasy. They've got all-out chip and they've got the rich uncle chip. All-out attack, I should say. So you can have like all attackers. You can have unlimited budget for 1 week is the rich uncle chip. That's quite a cool one. So in a week where you've got like for example, game week 36, playing the rich uncle, it's like a free hit, but you've got unlimited budget. The reason that's so exciting is, yes, you can say, well, you just pick all the premium players, but then you start to think, well, if I don't pick the premium players, that might be a good differential. Just because you've got unlimited budget doesn't mean you have to pick all the most expensive players. So, yeah, I think there could be other chips. I'm not desperate for it. If they introduce them, great. It's more content for next year. If they don't, I'm not too bothered. I'm going to put it out there. You are the most entertaining FPL YouTuber, and I rank Andy fairly highly, to be fair. I appreciate that, John. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you so much. I try my best. It's when you first start YouTube and you first listen to yourself and watch your videos back, you feel you're so boring. Like I'm watching myself, I'm like, why do people want to listen to me? But the fact that they've consistently been about 200 people sticking, I don't even know what I've been talking about. I've just been chatting utter poo poo. But here we go. Glad to see some people sticking around. Will you be playing the Fantasy World Cup? I will 100% play the Fantasy World Cup, and there will be Fantasy World Cup content on this channel. At the very least, I'll do a team selection video on a live stream every week. I might potentially try and just bang out loads of it. It depends, because it's at a busy time for me for my PhD and my lecturing at Christmas. And obviously, I'll be back home. But I'm going to try and crack out as much content as I can for that. What about minus points for missed high-quality chances? Yeah. For example, like I also think you should, if you earn a penalty, you should get rewarded for earning the penalty. It shouldn't need to be converted for you to get the assist. I really do think that winning a penalty, you should get points. And I think conceding a penalty, you should lose points. Again, even if the penalty is not then converted. So I do think there are lots of changes that FPL can make. And I've got a feeling, I don't know if you saw, FPL sent out a survey to the email address of different FPL managers about making changes for next year. So I've got a feeling FPL are going to introduce some changes. I just hope they keep the core of the game. I don't want them to change the game too much. They should remove the clean sheet 1 point for midfielders. Yeah, that would make midfielders slightly less appealing. Or maybe rather than 5 points, midfielders get 4 points. Would that make you want a midfielder as much? They've got two options. They need to either try and boost the forwards and make them more appealing, or they need to try and reduce the midfielders. Yo, Ross, what have you been talking about? I don't know what I've been talking about, to be fair. Everything that's not FPL. We did do like 2 hours of FPL, to be fair. The lad from Loughton done good. Not too bad, thanks, John. Not too bad. As a uni student, I appreciate the 45-minute videos every week. Makes it feel like I'm doing a course on FPL for free. That's good. I have been recognised now by 8 different students. 8 of my students have come up to me at the end of a lecture and said, "Are you FPL Raptor?" Which is quite a weird one to be recognised for YouTube. Since when does the World Cup have a fantasy game? Did the World Cup 2018 have one? I didn't play that one, so I wouldn't know. They're going to have some sort of fantasy game. I'm sure of it. They've got to. Obviously, it won't be the same. Well, it could be the same as UEFA one, but obviously not the same brand. But it'll be fairly similar, you'd imagine. If they don't, then I guess we just try and stretch out some other content. Maybe that's when I'll start playing FIFA on stream. Do you think VAR is corrupt? The impact of controversial to Salah? I don't think it's corrupt. It's just not working very well, and they need to sort something out with it. I don't think it's VAR. I think it's the people running VAR are just incompetent. I'm not going to talk about VAR for too long, but yeah, I don't think it's corrupt by any means, but I don't think they're making very good decisions. If a goalkeeper scores, it should be 10 points. It should be like 20 points. Doesn't happen very often, does it? Would love to be able to sub in my own players rather than wait until the game week's over. Yeah, potentially. I think centre-backs could do with some kind of change to make them an actual decision versus full-backs. Yeah, maybe... I did... Who said this? I don't want to claim this as my own idea. This isn't my idea. I saw someone say this. Full-backs should be their own position. So Cancelo, Trent, Doherty, Reece James, all of those guys, they should get less points for goals and assists. Right, because they're fullbacks. That would be interesting if fullback was its own position. What that would do is make centre-backs more appealing, potentially. You tempted to bench boost in game week 33 before your wildcard? No, even if I change out Rafinha and Cody, I've still got Doherty, I've still got Van Dijk, I've still got Gordon. James might not play. Zaha against Newcastle is not that ideal. Like, it would be a very subpar bench boost. Your streams have better longevity than Ronaldo. I stream for far too long. I'm gonna stop soon. I really am. Best league in the world, worst referees. Yeah, it's ridiculous that we are the best league in the world and we have the worst refs. What's your IQ? Have you ever had an IQ test? My IQ's fairly high. I think it was about 130. I haven't had an IQ test in a while. I've got a very good sort of like, it's like a semi-eidetic memory. So I have a very good memory. Not necessarily the best sort of fluid intelligence, but my memory is very good, and that serves me quite well. And I just do a lot of like reading, studying. I'm good academically, essentially. Right, I better go. This has been a very wonderful stream, to be fair. Thank you for tuning in. If you are still watching this, please do drop a like on your way out. I do massively appreciate it. We might make these Sunday streams more regular. So we might start doing this a little bit more, slightly chilled. I can't do it every Sunday, but maybe we'll start doing it a little bit more. I like it. Rather than being directly before the deadline, it's not as much of a panic streaming on a Sunday. So I think maybe we'll do it again in the future. So thank you very much for tuning in. I massively appreciate it. Thank you if you've been here for the full 2.5 hours. Massively appreciate you. On the way out, please drop a like on the video. Please do subscribe. There's going to be loads of content this week. We've got at least 3 videos and another stream to come. So massively appreciate it. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.